these stickers off. We got straight Jonathan Kent. I told Ego to get him right here while supplies last. Does this like stays around, stays in our vote? You know? All right, what up, people? We live. Episode number 41 of the Heroes No Capes podcast. I was downloading music. I was trying to get some more beats on here so y'all can bump, but I figured we was late already, so I'll do that later. But what up, people? We live. I am the Abomination. All right, known as AJ. Clap sounds. Y'all know what those sound like. No soundboard. And I am joined by my homie, my man's my co-host, Mr. Left Eye Ego. How you doing, sir?
Bro, I'm doing good. It's another Saturday morning. I'm ready to get it and talk off these spin-offs versus reboots. You know, we got to our last heated conversation about this yesterday, so I'm ready to continue this today, man.
All right, we're about to get into it. We already started before the stream. Don't know how Don feels about that conversation. Since we're talking about some clear racism. Just
I know. Mascot
not
moment for you two. I was sitting back and like, oh my god, I'm on stream with them. Are racist.
yeah, it's just not going in the direction that he's used to.
Oh,
So,
no.
what up, Don of the Phoenix?
I'm trying to do some soul searching right now. Ask myself, hold on, what vibe have I given off that I have now been associated with you two now? But dude, I'm good. I hope I'm back from a 3-hour drive from up north back down home now. But I'm excited to talk about this. You're doing what, reboots and sequels versus each other? They're gonna be a battle of the death. Oh, spin-offs. That's what I meant. Spin-offs and reboots.
I don't. This conversation. So it just came from, I think, current day. We see a lot of reboots, not necessarily agenda-driven reboots. Just modernizations is what I was used to them actually being. But now they're to subvert expectations and whatnot, just being used for different reasons as opposed to bringing out something that people know and love to get money. They're doing that, but they need an attached audience to again, to say whatever they gotta say. But right. I think back when we were growing up, they were more pure. I think it was more creative reasoning as for reboots and spinoffs as opposed to messaging. If y'all could see from the thumbnail, there's a lot of animated shit on the thumbnail because all I can really think of, like spinoffs. And I'm uncultured swine, and that's why I definitely wanted some more perspectives here. So Zach's probably come through. He hasn't responded. He's probably busy. And Lofty, he's sick. He's letting germs.
Racism.
I know he hasn't been on one stream. He was like, I can't do it. But yeah, he's letting germs kick his ass. So he probably come through. But yeah, I wanted more different perspectives on this type of stuff because my pool, my knowledge was very limited with reboots because I thought about like Dr. Dolittle. Ego was telling me 21 Jump Street is a reboot. Apparently Johnny Depp did that first. So yes, yeah. What do you got, Ego? What did you think about this conversation? And then we get into like the actual meat, starting with the You People movie that just came out.
So the thing is like I said, I was old enough to remember during the 90s there were a lot of spin-offs that came out. And you're right, they were pure. They would actually pick one person out of an ensemble cast, like let's say Joey from Friends. Joey had his own show right after Friends ended. The thing is that you find out certain characters that are on an ensemble work best in an ensemble. And so I think that if the 90s showed us anything, it was that certain spinoffs don't work. And
Mhm.
just wanted to go with the reboot. And so once you and I started talking about it, went back and forth, it was kind of funny. Like we really wound up having disagreements on saying, would I rather have a spinoff or would I rather have a reboot? Not something that we just generally said, well, I feel this way and we know we feel the same way. Let's switch it so that I'll take a position that I don't like. Like we generally felt like, hey, look, I'd rather have, the spinoff. He's like, hey, I'd rather have the reboot. And it winds up being a natural conversation. So I said, hey, we've definitely got a topic because I know that we're not the only ones that feel this way. And then we were trying to figure out if there is even a third category to this thing, but we'll get into that, and we'll need the chat's help on that one too, because that was almost an hour conversation of us going back and forth on that. So hopefully we're gonna have a really great conversation for you guys.
Don, what are your thoughts on spinoffs versus reboots? Do you have a preferred method? Some good, some bads?
I think goods and bads. There's like plenty of examples of both.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say about sequels, or excuse me, I always say sequels, reboots versus spinoffs. It all depends on like the world and like what Ego was saying, the characters, because some characters are very interesting that you want to like have a deeper dive on them, and there's like some depth there. Like the Joker is a spinoff of the Batman, right? And he's interesting enough, but like a spinoff of like the Riddler might not be as interesting, right? To go mile deep on that character, yeah, unless you have a great script. But like a Joker spinoff is just so ripe for the picking that it makes sense. But I generally think spinoffs are more enjoyable when the world is so rich and like whatever the canvas of it, you go, okay, wow, I could just really dive deep into this one particular area, like you see in Star Wars. You go into the bounty hunter aspect versus the political conventional warfare of the what's it called, the Federation versus the Republic. And then you also have like the mystical Jedi stuff. All of these things can work in there because it's a rich story, whatever you want to say, tapestry of that universe. But when you have something like Die Hard, do you want a spin-off of Die Hard? It's like, no, what's there in Die Hard to spin off, You're really grasping at grasping at straws. And I feel like a lot of people in Hollywood or maybe making stuff today are trying to do that, where it's like, oh, this character was kind of fun, let's do a spin-off of him. And I don't know if they're all that interesting to do a deep dive on. But there are plenty of examples of like people don't even know, like Frasier is a spin-off, right? Is Cheers? Isn't he? Yeah. So
I found this out in my research for this topic. And the Jeffersons was a spinoff of, what is it? What was it?
All in the Family.
All in the Family. There you go. Yeah. So I did not know that, but all right. So those are our thoughts on it, real quick. Yeah, there are plenty of examples of good and bad of both, and I don't think there is a preferred. I don't know. They're two different things. Like we put them against one another, but like you were saying, Don, a good spinoff, like there's room for that if you have a compelling enough character. Sometimes it works. And reboots, I think, in order just to get money, I think they fail. But when you are modernizing a story, better technology, seeing a world that's reflected around us. Again, no messaging, but actually just showing that world. Because like if you watch the old Scooby-Doo and they saying stuff like, when they go to the restaurant, what is it, like a diner, they drinking malt shakes and then like they're dancing sock hops and all that. Like a lot of newer kids are gonna be like, what the fuck is this?
No, bro. If Wednesday showed us anything, is that people love that shit. Because all that dance she was doing, that's all sock hops, sir. And don't be putting down a malt shake, sir. Okay.
I'm not. I'm saying
kids
these days would be like, what is going on? What are these dance moves?
Shake. You sit your ass down and have a malt shake.
Where's Ego's phone book he needs to sit on for this stream? He looks like he's just got to the grown-ups table here, and he's just
I'm a real boy.
All right, y'all.
I love my camera because I'm short now. Okay.
We haven't even spoke to the chat. They here and we just bypassed. We just ignored them. So my bad, chat. But Hail Dolores up in there. He says, Hail, what up? What up? Nosferatu. Morning, everyone. Hit the like. Do what the vampire says. People hit that like button. Get the algorithm working and whatnot. John, it took me a minute to to get this, but man, you wild. How do you circumcise a redneck? Kick his sister in the chin. Y'all, these are not my words. This is John. All right. Took me a minute to understand what was going on there, but there you go. I just did that mission on Red Dead. Nosferatu, he was there, and I didn't allow it to happen to me. That brother and sister were not going to have their way with me, especially on camera. All right, AJ's late because he's watching Balto in his furry costume.
He is.
If you're saying I transformed to watch Balto sometime, only the same when he meets his mom around the end, and they get the howling. Yeah, I transformed for that.
Did you watch the sequel to that too, sir? The straight to DVD sequel?
Yeah, Wolf's Quest.
Okay,
yeah, with his daughter Alu. Oh yeah, I've seen the wings have changed too with the other side. I'm invested in the Balto verse, bro.
Hold on, did you watch Alpha and Omega? Please tell me you didn't do that.
I didn't. I couldn't do that one.
Okay, cool. I was like, okay, all right.
That's a potential video. Wolf characters and because DreamWorks just came out. Speaking of spinoffs, the Puss in Boots, The Last Wish just came out, and yes, I'm working on my review, but I'm gonna let y'all know I was so disappointed in that movie.
Really?
I had seen people hyping up the villains. They were whack. Man, death. There's a death wolf in there, which just out of place, man. Out of place. Anyway. No, I didn't like the movie. Especially when you take no, I love the malt shakes, but especially when you take a character like Tai Lung from Kung Fu Panda, that was a villain. Y'all with me? Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I ain't seen Kung
Fu. Okay, nobody backed me up on it. Okay.
I said yeah. I've seen Kung Fu Panda. I think you're just mad.
I just said I haven't seen it.
I think you're just mad because this is like anti-wolf propaganda going on Puss in Boots, and you're just like, oh, they showed the wolf as the bad guy.
No.
What you trying to say?
I felt like some of y'all was gonna feel that, but the thing is, although the big bad wolf is already established in Shrek canon, all right, he's some cross-dressing piece of shit of a wolf. He's just there. He's lazy.
That's pretty. Feels pretty.
That's the wolf that's established. He's here. So this guy comes in and it's like forcing like death is a mythical figure, the actual embodiment of death. So I feel like this character shouldn't have even been there, or if he did, it shouldn't have been a wolf. What up, Lofty?
Yo, Lofty, what's going on, good sir?
All right, he's still getting stuff together.
All right,
but
all right, my bad. Sorry about that.
Like that, as well as the Jack Horner dude. Oh man, again, Tai Lung, but not just him. Like even the Peacock from the second one. It's like they kept giving great villains. Yes, we hear you now. We hear you.
Nice. What's up?
All right.
You sound great.
What you doing?
I feel like shit. I have the flu and I also have a hangover at the same time.
What were you drinking then? Why were you drinking if you don't have the flu, dude?
Man, right here.
Okay.
This just makes it worse. All right, Lofty, let me get done addressing the chat and then we'll get your thoughts on spinoffs versus reboots. Appreciate the time you putting in, man. Wiki Be Bad, morning, guys. What up, man? Glad to spend this morning with y'all. I want my own AJ and Ego action figures. Hey, man, that is a definite possibility in the future. Yeah. Not of us, though, of our characters. Stay tuned.
Can my AJ not be a furry?
I have. Hold on, I'll show you. Hold on. I'll show them my action figure stack. Give me a second. Hold on. It's more of a figurine, but hold up. Keep going.
Oh, yeah, man. No, mine's will be partial transformed. You're going to see some fur on them. And a tail. It's not a butt plug. It's an actual tail.
This weird big front tail you have on this action figure.
All right, Don is here. Unsubscribed and reported. Now it's brought to you. Know you hanging in. Wait, where's your hat? Oh, he about to show you something with a hat.
It's a haircut. Oh yeah, I got you right here. Look, check this out. So this is from when me and AJ actually went to the rodeo last year. There's a place that makes 3D models of people, and this is the shit that I was actually wearing when I went there. So
I did one of those too. I have one of those.
Those are awesome. They're awesome actually. It's made out of like pretty much like nylon. It's awesome. So yes, I'm my own figurine. It's just action figures next. Okay, they had to catch me in all my glory at the rodeo. But yeah, action figures are coming at one point.
Yeah, he took me to a rodeo. He was teaching me about y'all's culture, Don.
Don't put me in there. I'm ready for Minnesota.
It was actually pretty nice. It was, and AJ was with me. Like this one dude just stopped me. He's like, "I'm really happy you're here."
Oh my!
I was like, you know what? I felt welcome. So
Yeah.
You know what? I would have just told you I'm not happy you're here, just to counteract it. That way, you guys' ego wouldn't get up too big. Be like, you guys aren't welcome here, but you're okay to be here.
Yeah. It's like they don't all hate us.
Oh no.
All right, Mrs. Canola's Asquatch. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
How you doing? How you doing? Ego Sign's hat looks like Stephen A. Smith's unclaimed son. Come with that fire. Come with that fire like your daddy. All right, there's a bunch of comments. I'm trying to get through everybody. Good morning, fellas. Good morning, chat. What up? Mike has bad knees. Lofty came through. How you doing, sir? How you doing? Roman of the Empire. Good morning, guys. Lurking, busy with some house stuff. Just want to say hello. And why is Ego talking about Joey? I can't imagine why the Dr. Doolittle reboot flop had Robert Downey Jr. pulling Night Arm out of a dragon's compacted asshole. Fun for the whole family. I didn't watch it, man. All right, I think this. All right, Jacob Ironside. Sup, y'all? Thoughts on fitness? How we doing, guys? Got you in the background. Watch the work on an engine. See if you can top last week's stream. I don't know, man. It's a debate. It's a conversation. He doing some real man shit, working on a car.
Yeah.
All right. Think that's everybody. All right, y'all. That's everybody. Stephen Ransom, what up, man? Don Lofty, chat. Yeah, what up? All right, people. We got the formalities out of the way. Lofty, what are your thoughts on spin-offs versus reboots?
Well, are we like is this like a fight between the two, or like I don't really like either.
Okay,
like
we'll take it. Yeah, go good.
Yeah, what are your thoughts? What do you think they do to a franchise, to a series? You can give examples of both.
I mean, I generally don't like spinoffs. Reboots can be I don't know if you want to get into the conversation of the difference between a remake and a reboot, but sometimes, some of those I can appreciate. For some of my favorite movies are reboots or remakes. For example, Jeff Goldblum's The Fly.
Oh yeah,
a remake of like the 40s, what Universal movie or whatever.
Okay.
The Thing, the 80s movie is a remake of the old one. Then they did it, remade it again. That one sucked.
I guess remake. I guess I would consider them the same. Because I was saying like reboots, when they attempt to just modernize the story, they might make changes or whatnot. But it's just because like the one that the other one was like the 70s, 60s, so super old. So trying to make it for a modern audience, not like what we see today. But I guess you can consider those to be the same for this conversation.
I love the Planet of the Apes reboot. The new
one. Which one?
All three of them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Not the Mark Wahlberg version.
No, the Matt Reeves one with Andy Serkis.
Okay. Yeah. Caesar is home. Gotcha. Okay.
Oh yeah, Apes Together Strong. That movie has so many classic lines. Like that movie is so quotable. The second one, and then, but like I don't know. I just like the whole culture. I like that they really. A lot of the times when you have like modern movies with like real people and then like CGI characters like Sonic or Detective Pikachu. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of aesthetic. But what they did with the Ape trilogy, they gave them their own culture and they really like fleshed it out. Like it's almost like Shakespearean, like in some way. Like Caesar and his son and betrayed by Koba, and he had to. It's very like Hamlet almost. I don't know. Do you guys remember watching the second one? Because that's the one.
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Yeah. But it was very much like Lion King. Like it had that whole like, and the human characters were like, fine. They didn't ruin the movies for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's where like you're saying like a reboot is good. Not when they just do a shot for shot, because even if you do a shot for shot, it only benefits if like the barrier for entry is so high. Like if you watch an old King Kong movie, you're like, yeah, you know what? After being in today's culture and like whatever, not today's culture, well, today's technology, you kind of look back and you go, yeah, it just doesn't grasp me the same way as it does back then. So if you redo it with new technology, that's great. But then also if there's more depth there, if like you're saying before the Planet of the Apes seems so cartoony, and they're like, well, let's reboot it and make it the whatever dark, gritty version of it, right?
It's the same guy who directed the Batman with Robert Pattinson. So it's very gritty. He takes it seriously. It's not a joke, you know. I just like it. I like all three of them. I don't know.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I love that series as well, or that trilogy.
Yeah.
I guess because they went more of the focusing on the animals route.
Yeah.
And I think that movie, the first one, it was a slow burn, but once those apes really got to like doing their thing, then it was. I'm not saying the movie wasn't interesting, but I do think that franchise does a great job of building up the franchise. Like you get the boring one, you get this one out of the way with all the information, then we can just get into like action, possibly more politics. Kind of like I think what the Avatar movie, The Way of Water, didn't do, which I didn't watch it, but seeing the first one, I know from seeing the first one and what I did see of the second one, you're not making me believe in the people because you got them having issues with like these outsiders, as opposed to let me spend time being invested with them and seeing how their culture works and what are the issues that they're having, and you know, kind of stunting their advancement in a way, possibly. So I do think that series did a great job of that, as well as I heard you speak about the Godzilla and liking that. I think that's another example of. Okay, my bad.
I don't like the new Godzilla, but that is a modern reboot that is very popular.
The 2000 one with Matthew Broderick.
That one I think is actually entertaining.
I like that. I like.
Yeah, I like that one.
I liked it.
I don't like the new ones at all.
Okay,
too dark. So, what's going on? Why
the Kongs? You know, the King Kong versus Godzilla. What was the other one? Godzilla.
I like Skull Island.
No, Skull Island is the best one of the. Now, Skull Island is like kind of corny and stupid, but like it doesn't. It's so unrealistic, but it's like kind of charming and just like goofy and it doesn't take itself too seriously. The Godzilla reboot in 2014 was so dark and boring. Like.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So not that one.
I talk about this whole, not that one. Not that
yeah,
one.
I'm not talking about that one. Yeah, that one was terrible. Yes, that's the one I like. And I could have sworn,
and the characters are funny.
Yeah, I could have sworn Don had an issue when I said I actually liked that movie at some point.
Yeah, I think most people with like two brain cells have like a visceral reaction whenever you say that.
Yeah, people don't like that one. I don't know why. It's goofy. I'm not saying it's amazing.
The Matthew Broderick one is fucking trash, dude.
Yeah.
He's not even God. It doesn't even look like Godzilla. It's like,
I know.
Like, okay, hey, the studios are like, well, those velociraptors were really cool in Jurassic Park. Can we just make it a big velociraptor in New York? And they're like, well, I don't know, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it's a female at the end. Spoiler alert, lays eggs that we never get the conclusion to.
Right. At the very end, yeah, it was whack.
Oh man, the idea of it though, being able to asexually reproduce and like the mutation, like I saw people have issues with like this Godzilla was way smaller than the original one, but I don't like chunky sumo Godzilla.
What?
Yeah, I don't like
love
that.
My Godzilla, that dumb truck.
Give me
Thickzilla. Like thank you. Yes.
I don't like that.
Thickzilla.
Thick ass Muppet Thickzilla. Body. What was the dinosaur with the family? Yeah, like that's what that Godzilla looks like. Like he's they cousin or something. Like he in the background.
Someone, right?
yeah. The new Godzilla looks like what's that? Y'all remember Love, Death, and Robots with the monster battle one?
Mm-hmm.
And
I've not seen that.
Oh, bro, watch that. So there was this female like monster who was like jumping around more agile. She kind of looked like she was inspired by the newer Godzilla. I like that Godzilla though. And the babies was dope because now you got many little issues to deal with.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Trash take. Everyone,
Okay,
comment
alright.
down below what you think about AJ's trash take. Is it worse than his Lord of the Rings take? Let us know right now. And if
Oh,
you haven't
no.
already, be sure to smash that like button, everybody. We gotta get these likes a little higher up here. Come on, guys. What are we doing?
Please do, guys.
So Hobbit was a potential. Would that be considered a spinoff? Just like House of the Dragon would be considered a spinoff to.
Well, I guess Lord of the Rings would be the spinoff, right, to the Hobbit in the books wise, right?
Oh, okay. I don't know. Teach me something.
Yeah, the Hobbit was original, and then the Lord of the Rings is like a sequel story to it. But it's about like the only thing connecting the two is Bilbo and the Ring and Gandalf, right? Same world, but they go a totally different direction, and it's more epic. So I think that's where it's like a spinoff, right? I think you consider Lord of the Rings a spinoff, right?
See, now that's hard because
sequel.
Yeah, or a prequel.
Wait, what are we talking about? Which one?
Okay,
So-
what would you, Loft, what would you consider? Because the Hobbit was the first book to come out, right?
Yeah.
Between, would you consider the Lord of the Rings as a sequel series to the Hobbit or a spinoff?
The books there are definitely a sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, they just are. But it's
But
not.
why?
Tolkien doesn't treat it like that. Like Tolkien is he wrote the Hobbit, and he's like he didn't want to write a sequel. He just wanted to flesh out the world, and then he was writing like the Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion all at the same time. Yeah, I guess it's a sequel, pretty much. It's just all part of the same lore.
What would you consider the difference between a sequel and a spinoff? Then everyone on the panel, what would you be?
Oh, a spinoff?
Yes,
that
spinoff versus sequel.
I think some sequels can be considered.
A spinoff can be a prequel
spin-offs.
or a sequel.
Yeah.
Like Bumblebee. Like I'm trying to think. Like it just a spinoff is supposed to take place in the same universe as something that it's spinning off from, but it doesn't have much to do with the story of the original. Does that make sense? That's how I see it.
Yeah. Like, that's why I was saying me and AJ was getting to this back yesterday because we were talking about that too. And we're saying, wait, what separates a spinoff from like a sequel? I was like, well, hey, spinoff is usually one person from an ensemble that you try to put on the map. Like to me, Bumblebee to me is a spinoff, just like Joey was a spinoff of Friends. Whereas sequel is just continuing the same thing. It's just we're gonna extend the story.
I think they can cross over sometimes, but you have situations where, like I said, Tiny Toons was a spinoff because it's in the same world. If you do enough world building, I don't think your spinoff has to be one character taken from a group that's already established. It's just somebody in that world, but it's not directly focused on the characters that you already know. But spinoffs can be continuations or sequels, like Fuller House on Netflix. It was a continuation. It was a spinoff.
This is where we got derailed because we were talking about this yesterday. Are we saying are there just distinct two categories?
No
spinoff, or is it a third thing called continuation? I don't know. Hold on. We're going to ask the chat, Lofty and Don, because we know how we feel about this. Y'all, what are y'all saying? Is a continuation the third category, or does it belong with the spinoff or sequel?
I don't think continuation.
No. You can't. No, because we
I think
we need everyone else decide this.
So continuation, I think, would be it has to also maintain the scope of it. So, like you said, like with Joey, right? That's a continuation of his story. But it's not the ensemble cast of most of those characters. It's just focusing on him. Like, if we say the Jon Snow upcoming series they've been throwing around a lot, right? You would say that's a spinoff, not a continuation. Because a continuation, you'd say it's very similar in tone, has a big ensemble, kind of picks up a lot of the other. Yeah. So I think it would be a spinoff if it's going off, but with one person. But Fuller House, I think that is a continuation. If that's the example you're looking at.
Right. Okay. Lofty, what you got, man?
I didn't even know this was a thing.
That's why we're asking, because he was saying Fuller House and Cobra Kai, and I'm like, bro, those are continuations. That's not a sequel. He's like, no, but it is a sequel. Yeah. I'm like, how is that a sequel if we're going?
No, Cobra Kai
years later.
Cobra Kai is a spinoff.
Cobra Kai is a continuation, sir. I said there needs to
be but it's a spinoff because there are two different names. You got one that's Karate Kid, and the spinoff series is Cobra Kai that just so happened to continue the story.
It's the story. Go ahead, Locke.
There's too much.
Go ahead.
There's too much semantics. Like I don't think these definitions are like set in stone.
Yeah.
I think people just use them slightly differently. I like Cobra Kai to me is no different than like Jurassic World Dominion compared to like Jurassic Park. Like it's just it's I guess I would call it a sequel. I don't know. I mean, a continuation is the same thing as a sequel. The sequel would be like, now, are you trying to differentiate between a sequel that takes place right after the first one versus one that takes place like way in the future?
All right. So the thing for me, we were talking about, I said, yo, look,
Yeah.
a clear spinoff to me is Hobbs and Shaw. That spins directly off of Fast and Furious, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Two characters in a main franchise, they have their own thing going. Boom,
Yeah.
we're done. Fuller House, to me, I can't consider that a spinoff or a reboot because you're continuing the story 20 or 30 years down the line. It's newer people, but it's based off of characters from the OG. So it's not a sequel because it's not the same cast. It's not a reboot because they're not really.
That is a sequel. We're using the same. We're using the same cast. Danny Tanner, Joey, Uncle Jesse.
Okay. Are they in the show or do they make appearances?
They're in the show from time to time, but it's still focused on the kids who were established characters, and so it's I think it is.
Call it a spinoff.
Yes, it's a different name.
Look, is Better Call Saul not a spinoff to Breaking Bad?
Of course.
Yeah, I think it's a spinoff.
Okay, and they make appearances. Like some of the characters will make appearances, but it's a spinoff because the show is so focused around its own like mythology, and it doesn't really have that same thread, like through line story arc of Breaking Bad. It's like it's a different show. It even has a different style to it a little bit. You know, I just consider that a spinoff. I don't know about Full House. I just haven't seen any. I don't know. Or Cobra Kai. I haven't seen it.
Wow.
Really?
Cobra Kai?
No.
Man.
No. I was never a Karate Kid person.
Yeah, me.
Busy watching reruns of My Goth, I guess.
I mean, look, I guess I was too young for that. My cousin loved it. He's older than me. He's like 38 or something. He was into it.
So now Star Wars was different because there's a movie series, and I guess you could consider everything that came from it a spinoff. But that's an example of like once you do enough of the world building, then you can easily pull content from different areas of that world, and it's so big that these characters don't have to interact. I'm saying because Rolling Chairs, it's a prequel. It's the prequel trilogy of Star Wars, a spinoff. Now, not that exactly, but I'm saying how you have like the Mandalorian, Ahsoka coming out, Bad Batch, Clone Wars, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah, I would consider those are spinoffs, but I do think it was more so an argument of semantics because I think they cross over at different points. So it's hard to put a definite definition on what something is, or to say that something can't have multiple.
You can make a hybrid
multiple categories.
I'll give you a hybrid of a prequel spinoff, but like for me, it's like continuation is where I draw the line. So like certain things are just straight up continuations and aren't sequels or reboots though. But I will give you like something like a prequel spinoff. Right.
All right. So what are some examples of both? Damn, Lofty, I had another one. We was talking about the King Kong stuff. The Planet of the Apes. What are some good examples of both? This stream is not to shit on any one in particular. I was simply acknowledging the terrible reboots that we get nowadays, but comparing them to something that come before. Like Don, I just watched a video on what's that, House of the Dragon, the Baratheon dude.
Yeah. Dude, awesome. Yeah, doesn't know how to read. So cool.
Yeah.
Reading's for losers, just let everybody know.
So like I guess with that, I wouldn't necessarily put the books in it like I was talking about the Lord of the Rings, because I guess if you just focus on the visual media of it, House of the Dragon is a spinoff of Game of Thrones, but it's a prequel at the same time. So that's what I mean. Like they can cross over in different categories. Right. But
look, somebody I got into an argument with somebody about this, and they were like, Rings of Power is a they were like Rings of Power is a prequel to the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies, and I was like, no, it's not. And they were like, yeah, it is. And I was like, no, it's an adaptation, or a loose adaptation of the Second Age, like parts of what Tolkien wrote. It's not even a good adaptation, but it has nothing to do with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's not in the same universe. Okay. These Rings of Power, if it continued, would not become the Lord of the Rings trilogy. They are in separate universes. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
And that's part of the argument we got in.
The showrunners confirmed that. Okay. Everybody confirmed it. Jackson confirmed it. It's like there's two different Dune movies. Okay. They're not in the same universe. Okay. This is very easy. And the guy was just yelling at me. He's just like, no, you don't know what you're talking about, Lofty. They ruined the Rings of Power ruined the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And I'm just like, no, it didn't ruin it. It's like, you know what I mean? Like they're
yes. You know what? I hate this argument too when people talk about this with Star Wars. Like, I didn't like The Last Jedi at all, but people will go, "You ruined like Skywalker for me." I'm like, dude, you have not the like mental power just to like block out a movie and go, yeah, guess what? That wasn't made by George Lucas, so fuck it.
Yeah, but
no,
Star
like,
Wars.
No, but I saw Mark Hamill on screen. Some things I didn't like. What am I doing?
Exactly.
Shut the fuck up, dude. How old are you? You sound like a fucking 3-year-old that didn't get a snack on time, dude. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But you're right, and you can just watch the original trilogy, and they're still amazing. The Star Wars trilogy, but that is an example of prequels and sequels all being connected together. Okay, that's not how the Lord of the Rings films are. Right. Like that's not how they work. The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings films are all in the same universe. Okay, they have Bilbo Baggins and they connect the two. They connect. If you watch The Hobbit, it does connect. Frodo, Elijah Wood is in The Hobbit in the opening scene.
Right. Yep.
But the Rings of Power is just a separate timeline. It just happens to adapt the same source material as Peter Jackson. So that's an adaptation, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a difference between like an adaptation and a reboot, and like Dune. The new Dune is an adaptation of the book. It's not a reboot of the original movie. It's an adaptation of the book.
Right.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yes.
And that was like Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood. So that was an example of a reboot. But then it was like, so from what I hear, because I didn't watch it when it first came out. So there was the manga and then the series came out, but it didn't adapt the book exactly. So then Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood comes out and it adapts the book exactly. And it was made, I think, more recent. So after the first series. So it was modernized with technology, but as well as it was a true adaptation. So I think that was one of my examples of a reboot done right. Although it adapted the actual source material, and the first adaptation of it was a reboot, but it was a good example of a reboot. That wasn't there for like a cash grab. I'm sure there are other examples like Ninja Turtles, for instance, the 2001. I think everything from the 90s and 2000s early 2000s was pretty dope, but that's a conversation that me and John A. Douglas get into, where he doesn't like that Ninja Turtles. But it was a reboot. It was a modernization of the story for the current audience, and you get all of the metal, the heavy metal in the intro. Don, we was talking about this. Like, you get teams of characters. Not this one, I think, was more so a boy targeted, but teams of dudes, young dudes, teens, just kicking ass together.
Yeah.
So that was an example of an reboot that I think works. Now the movies suck. I'm not talking about the original movies, but some of them, they're pretty weird. But it seems like every time you attempt Ninja Turtles, it is a reboot. Everybody's trying to give their own take on what these dudes are and their interaction.
Well, that's just like with any 80s, 90s property, like an intellectual property. Hollywood is like obsessed with reboots. They do it for the money. Like they're like, okay, everybody knows what Mad Max is. and we're gonna make a modern day Mad Max, and we're gonna make a $800 million, and it's just like, now had that happened to be a decent movie, because
the original crew's there, right?
George Miller directed, and there's almost no CGI, like really good practical effects.
For what Mad Max? Because I'm
Fury
new
Road.
to watching.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the fourth one.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that was a reboot technically, because it's not Mel Gibson. It's
it's like a weird whatever, but it doesn't hurt the story at all.
Yeah. Well, it's just not. I just don't think it's in the same universe. It's its own thing. It's a reboot. Unless they said it's in the same universe, but that would be weird because
it doesn't break any.
It's not Mel Gibson.
I know, but it doesn't break anything. It's just kind of like how James Bond. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't.
James Bond is a totally different, like its own unique
different
thing.
Yes.
Is James Bond like Zelda?
Yeah. Well,
no. It's more of a I would call it a designation type. That's what I'm saying. That's another category for me. Is like designation movies. It can be anyone. The designation is 007. That's what I'm saying. Like certain things don't fall into prequels or spinoffs either. Spinoffs, or reboots. Like that's 007 is like a designation to me.
I mean, at this point, Batman is the same to me as Bond. We have so many of them. We have so many of them that different actors that play the same, and the Joker play the same character.
I think that's disgusting though. Like with the Batman, that's my issue with it. I guess it's because I want things to connect. I don't think it's necessarily that though, but if I'm always seeing a different version,
Batman, bro, you really couldn't do that one.
No, I hate it. I didn't like the Dark Knight series either though. But I'm saying like once you bounce around everywhere, I don't know, it just kind of loses its.
That doesn't bother me. It reminds me of like a different artist coming on with a different suit, and they're drawing them different. It doesn't bother me that much because you have like a different I'm trying to think of the artists, some Batman artists, but like Tim Sale versus whoever. Insert there. It doesn't break it for me.
Yes, that happens, but I think it's different when I feel like they're just milking Batman, like even with the comics, Batman sells. So I think that's more of the driving force behind making Batman movies, as opposed to people who love Batman. I want to put my creative spin on Batman. I just think the Batman thing is done for like different reasons, especially when you have a whole DC universe that this character is based off of. It's not like they're taking I don't know, some like a Spawn, for instance, and doing Spawn like versions of a story. It's Batman who's in an established world, but we're just seeing everybody do different versions of Batman, which I feel like runs into issues with James Gunn's is like new DC whatever. It's like, who am I pulling from what universe? And then but I think that does create the easy justification, which I think is an excuse. It's lazy of like what you're saying was just a different universe. I sure that justification is there, but I think that's more of a real world justification. As opposed to
you don't want Batman. You don't want Batman to be treated like James Bond. You would rather, because to me that's appropriate for the character. I think have a mantle. Like past the mantle, I'm talking about the actor. You know what I mean. Otherwise, you're dealing with a cinematic universe, and I'm kind of like, I mean, Marvel. I like what Marvel did with that, but I don't need it. I don't need it with my Batman. I don't know. I prefer Batman to be like more like Bond.
Well, it's like a graphic novel, right? Where it's like, oh, wow, I love this.
Yeah.
Like Long Halloween, you're like, dude, I love this run. And if they made sequels and even extended the universe out a little bit, it's great. Well, but as soon as you start diluting it and it becomes it's like falling in underneath its weight, like we're seeing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now, then you kind of go, at least for me, I go, okay, we can just scrap the whole thing. I'll just take a spin-off like the Joker. Like that's basically its own graphic novel, right? Like a solo run of it. And then if they're going to do a sequel to it, like we are seeing with Todd Phillips doing a sequel, I'm interested in it. And if they built a whole cinematic universe of these villains, if it's good, I'm going to continue to watch it. I don't know if on face value, I don't know if I'll ever just go, no.
Yeah.
It's like, show me a trailer, show me the talent, show me the vision, and then I'll make my judgment.
Also, I'll watch a Ra's al Ghul prequel because that shit goes 300 or 400 years, or I think he's like 600 years old. So I'll watch that because that's a lot you can do before you even get to Batman.
Yeah,
That's something I'll watch if you want to focus on villains. But I don't really give a shit about Penguin, the Riddler. Joker to me was just an agent of chaos, so there doesn't need to be a backstory. He's like, I'm the antithesis of order, so that's all I'm here to do. So it doesn't matter what my origin story is. I'm just here to cause chaos. Now, that's also the problem that I have with keeping Bruce Wayne as Batman and not letting someone like Dick Grayson take over, because his Joker is Jim Gordon's son, James Jr. And like, that's a better story if you want to tell me, if you want to introduce James Gordon and tell me a backstory about him. Like, how could the son of the police commissioner be that fucking crazy? I'll watch a prequel on that to get me to the point where he has to go head to head against Dick Grayson. If you give me that, I'll watch that. But otherwise, I don't really give a shit about the rest of these villains outside of Ra's al Ghul.
Interesting.
Yeah, I feel y'all on that, and that's just my personal opinions. But you know, I wouldn't even people who like actually love these movies or want to see more of that. I understand the appeal. Me personally, for somebody who enjoys universes and world building, I think that shows. I'm not gonna say more creativity, but when you can establish a world and then give me story, not milk it, but you can tell a continuation. Like, I would more so want, I compare it to Batman, the animated series. Like that is world building, continuation. I would like to see. I think you can only really dedicate enough source material and world building in a franchise, in a connected world, as opposed to, like I said, this one person, oh, this is my Batman movie. And then some other director, oh, he did a Batman movie. I want a Batman movie. I want a Batman movie. As opposed to us saying we love Batman, let's create this world and I guess emphasize Batman, or one character or whatever. And that's what I mean. Like, I don't need it exactly connected to where like Batman meets fucking Wonder Woman and then some Green Lantern and all that type of shit. But out of this huge world, let's focus on this area, but give me enough meat to where I can get a few movies out of it. Because I think that is something that, like, the Lord of the Rings does. It gives you 3 movies with that meat in all 3, and there's a story happening. There's an actual adventure, as opposed to like the Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. Like, I love that one, and some people hate it, but to me, like, that's one good movie, and then the second one sucks. Or like the first Spider-Man series, like the first one, yeah, let's get the boring stuff out of the way. The second one people love, and the third one they tried to build up on it, but they just added too much. I think too fast. And the same with the Amazing Spider-Man 2. But there was still enough world building going on to where if they had actually planned, you could have, like, there wasn't already an attempt at a Sony Spider-Man universe that was moving in the right direction. I hated the lizard smashed face, but hey, that shit could have stuck out in the second movie, and I would be like, okay, you fixed it. Or the third movie, or whatever. But yeah, that's an issue of mine, because you don't have the world building, especially with the superhero films. I'm not getting a rogues gallery. And you were saying you like Ra's al Ghul, but yeah, there are other villains that people would like to see along the way, or see those villains that you get out of the way to show that hero is moving up to the more A tier, S tier villains.
Well, that's the issue that I had with Gotham when it first came out, because if you're telling me that Jim Gordon's this young and upcoming detective that winds up being commissioner, and then you're saying that he's dealing with, Fish Maroney, the Penguin, Riddler, and then this early version of Joker. Well, it's like, well, damn, no wonder Batman beats all his villains. Those bitches are all in their 60s. At the rate you're telling the story. So, I mean, what is their A-list about these villains if you're telling me that they've been here since before Bruce was Batman? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I get what you're saying. Like, you need to move up to get to that number one villain. It's just, for me, the only way to tell that story is you tell through Ra's al Ghul's perspective, because he basically raises whole countries if they're not meeting the standards of the League of Shadows. So I'm okay with him telling that story, because we could go through, you could make up characters to get me to Gotham, because the Cobblepots and the Waynes, and I forget the other family. If you look at Death by Design, their actual family lineage goes back generations. And you can see that Ra's al Ghul has been there the entire time. and was like, no, I need to get out of here. I need to raise an army because Gotham is on some other shit and I need to burn it to the ground. And by the time he's ready to do it, enter Bruce Wayne's Batman. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now, if you do something like that, I think that's a good example of doing enough world building and having stuff like loosely connected. Because if you introduce a race, then you can get a Damian later on, and you can skip the other Robins because our focus maybe is Damian for that movie, for that franchise. And then, like I was saying with the Batman and Robin, like I understand that Robin was too old. He should have been Nightwing. That's something you can easily do in the next movie or show. Okay, he went through all this bullshit. Now he's decided to become Nightwing. And then bam, you have your Damian in there as actual Robin. And then maybe if Joker is introduced in this franchise, which I think that's an easy one, then you could have like the Jason Todd connection and him come up be a secret villain and people like, who is this? I think people would kind of know though, just like they did with the Arkham Knight game. But still, I think world building, I like, again, things connected, multiple movies. I don't like a one and done type situation. Aragon, just like with Aragon, I like that movie. People don't like it. But if you would have gave me a continuation where I get to see that actual evil dude and his dragon fight the main Aragon and Saphira, come on, that would have been nice.
Yeah, you would have seen it if the movie was good. Yeah,
if the movie was good. All right, movies don't have to be good to get sequels, man. Pacific Rim got 2 movies.
Don't do that. I walk out. Don't do that.
I love Pacific Rim. Don't mess with
me. Thank you.
You guys can have it all to yourself.
The first one.
Yeah.
I
think you love robot fighting giant monster.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the concept. I just think the execution of it was not as great as the concept.
It was terrible.
But like that movie right there, to do a spin-off of that, could you even really do it? Could you? Or
to do what?
A spin-off in the
Pacific Rim?
Pacific Rim
Not
universe.
Really.
They have
concepts there. It's like it's kind of cool, but like I don't know what you do to. I guess I'd ask the chat too. Is there a spin-off out there that you would love to see that could be done? As of right now, I'm trying to think of one.
An actual spin-off.
An actual spin-off. Like what is a property or like some movie that have come out that you go, okay, I would legit want to see a spin-off in that universe. You don't need to cover the same person. It could be about, like you're saying, the Ra's al Ghul thing. That's kind of a spin-off, like a prequel weird thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
This man said, what did you say, Left Eye?
Rush Hour 4. It'd be about their kids. It'd be about their kids. I don't need senior citizen Jackie Chan or John or Chris Tucker out here. Give me their kids. Just give me the kids and see how they interact. Have the kids get kidnapped or some shit, and they're like, man, this is bullshit. Now I gotta go get them kids. Lee, I told you we should have had them protected earlier. Raja, I said we should have done that. Let them be kids. I'm okay with that.
I don't want to see that. Like the kids, are you trying to get mini Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan?
No, their kids are completely different, and that's the problem. It's like their kids get along great. They don't really have any issues at all. And like, now Lee, why couldn't we been like that, man? Because I didn't understand the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Nah,
kids get kidnapped.
Yes. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Exactly.
I love when he's there on the plane and he's like, kayak. Oh God, it's so funny.
Look, man, I don't want to
watch that spit off.
I don't want to see that.
That'd be hilarious.
I think that's too easy.
Oh, I know, but it works. It's like watching The Little Mermaid 20 years apart, right? Bear with me. If you're a kid, you kind of understand Ariel's perspective, even if you're a dude, right? I just want to go out, experience the world. 20 years later, you are motherfucking Triton. You don't even know him. I'm saying Rush Hour 4 works the same way. These kids today are a lot different than us, but now it's time for parents to have to save the day. Now we got to go ahead and work together. We thought we were out of the game. Now we're back in the game. Like, it works for me being it's spinoff with basically having them have the cameo to kind of save the day. Kind of what they try to do in Expendables 3. That's all. Yeah, I'm okay with those kind of movies.
They have to work together to stop Asian hate, right?
Yeah. Let Rush Hour die, like Bro Graham said. It get real political real fast. The two marginalized people working together. Don't let a white person come across.
I was gonna say, like, I'm surprised that they never did a Michael spinoff from Underworld. I know they probably want to keep it.
That's the hybrid dude.
Yeah, I mean, like he was completely useless at one point. I mean, I was trying to figure out how he was so special, but yet she eclipses him at like by what volume, the second or third Underworld movie.
Yeah, it was like the conversation we was having earlier with the interracial dating. It's like he was this hybrid, but he was like a piece of shit. So it's like, why you put us through all that? You weren't even gonna be great in the process. We just merged our houses.
Did all this shit.
We got nothing to show for it.
Look, I think a spinoff, an exciting spinoff, would be something like this. Okay, imagine a standalone movie set on horror movie set on the planet Hoth in the Star Wars universe. And it's just like, you know, a 90-minute movie. It's not pulling in Sith Jedi but there's some sort of creature that's like on Hoth that like is like killing a bunch of people, and I don't know, that just sounds like a fun idea. And that was actually they were going to do that. Who was going to do this again? It was the guy.
That same like horror element you're talking about, I always thought it'd be a great either short film or whatever. You could make it a feature length of somehow a bunch of criminals are trying to pull this heist, and maybe some of them are way worse than others. But now they're being tracked down by Batman, and Batman's basically now like Mike Myers coming after him. And it would be scary, right? You just be like, holy shit, and you just be pulled up. You know, like we see those horror elements from Batman, but it'd be awesome just to see like a third-person perspective of how Batman would operate while hunting you down, and it would be fucking crazy and scary.
Yeah. Like Scott Derrickson was the one who wanted to do it. He did the first Doctor Strange movie. He wants to do a rated R horror movie on Hoth, and I was just like, that sounds fucking awesome. I would watch that. I mean, it has to be rated R. I would because that's something we haven't done that with Star Wars. And it would be very, I don't know, like I'm a big fan of The Thing, you know, and H.P. Lovecraft, and I feel like they could probably pull in some influences from those. I don't know.
What happened?
I don't know, bro. You just dropped out. You disappeared. Yeah. What happened?
Okay, well, it's me. Okay.
Yeah, it was you, sir.
I'm still good. I'm still hanging. Y'all keep
going. The quantum realm, and then now he's back.
All right.
Nah, I would like to see T'Challa in the quantum realm, but he's not there. He did, so I'm not going.
Oh my! Oh no!
Shit! Unexpected.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, go ahead.
No. I was saying, what were y'all talking about? I had an example of
Lofty was talking about the spin-off of the Hoth horror movie that Scott Derrickson was pitching. But Creed's a pretty good spin-off that kind of follows the same story. And
it was. I didn't like the way that Sylvester Stallone went about doing it, because he made it Creed's bastard son. He has to take Creed's name at the end, as opposed to like the Creed that actually was his son when he was living in LA. I mean, he could have just said he traveled from LA to Philly to actually train under the person that, you know, his father helped train. Like, I need to get to where my dad was. My dad trained you, train me, and it's in Philly. I'm fine with that. Otherwise than saying, hey, Creed was great, but he still had a bastard kid. And you're like, he had a whole family in LA. That was my beef with it. That's why I won't watch the Creed movies. That's how I feel. That's all. And then Creed 3 can kiss my ass, because it's like, you don't remember me? No, you ground beef face looking motherfucker. Whoa. I don't remember you.
Oh, whoa. Jonathan Major's hate here will not be tolerated.
Bro, this motherfucker looks like
downvote this video.
Market.
Dude, yeah, but he looks like a Greek god from the neck down, though.
He looks great. I don't care if he's a Greek god from the neck down, as long as you look like a testicle with teeth from the neck up. No, there's no way. No, this man looks like testicular cancer. Stop. I don't want to see a testicle with muscles. It's gross.
He looked like he's fighting it and winning.
Well, people are signing up for testicular cancer.
No, he don't. He look like he in stage 3, and we about to make this shit terminal. Stop.
But as far as
I have to watch this movie, but go. I'm sorry.
I think a spin-off series I would like to see would be like Cabin in the Woods, and seeing how did they get all of those like monsters.
I'd watch that. That'd be cool.
and then dedicate a series to that. I like the Star Wars idea though. But that reminds me, because I've said this all the time, and then Don, I think you and Lofty was on the stream, and y'all kept ignoring me. But
Probably.
what would I like to see? He said probably from Star Wars. I was thinking that the sequel trilogy was gonna go more of the Gray Jedi direction. Yeah, I'll probably keep ignoring me because it sounds retarded. I don't think so though. Especially with those old Republic cinematics. I was thinking that the sequel trilogy would go a Gray Jedi time period, or them establishing that, because they're like, there are no more Jedi. So I was like, okay, it's going to be something different. And then you had Rey, who was the light, and then Kylo Ren, who was the dark. So they was going to come together. Not saying it had to be dating, but just, okay, let's put our styles and what we learned, and let's turn this shit into what we want it to be. And then you see, I think far enough in the future, you can see like, what does that order look like, and what's been happening, instead of dick riding the current Star Wars characters that everybody knows. And then it would have made sense to get a little Yoda species in there as opposed to Grogu. I feel like Grogu is weird and he's childlike on purpose, and I think he adds nothing to the story. But to focus on that, Lofty, you sound cooler when you sick, bro.
I sound like what?
You sound cooler, man. You sound like a man.
Well, there you go. I should probably just make myself sick all the time. No, I like Grogu. What's wrong with Grogu?
Oh, everything.
I mean,
you like what? Okay, what does that mean? Like Mandalorian is. Would you say it's a mature show?
The Mandalorian to me is just an homage to the Lone Wolf and Cub, manga and film series. I love the Lone Wolf and Cub. It's probably my favorite samurai film series of all time.
I have not read it. I know what you mean though.
Lone Wolf and Cub is a samurai ronin who has to take care of a kid, and the kid sits in this little cart, and the cart has like all these contraptions, and it can kill people in like 25 different ways. It's crazy. But it's very, very similar to the Mandalorian, and I don't know. I like that dynamic. I understand. I'm not a huge fan of the Mandalorian. I just think the Grogu part of it is fine. It doesn't bother me. If that makes sense.
It's just, I know what he's there for, because normies like baby shit and fans love Yoda.
That's true.
So I think again, if you pushed it in the future where you can see a younger, like, I don't want to see baby Grogu goo goo gaga doing force powers. I want to see a young Yoda who is fucking Grogu, but he's so far in the future to where they're not reliant on current events. You can see more advancement, and again, the different styles coming together. I just think that would have been an actual lore push as opposed to what he's here for, because the Mandalorian could be way more badass if he didn't have this child attached to him.
But you can get kids to watch it though, if there's a baby in it too. I'm not gonna lie, I like even though I don't watch the Mandalorian, I like little Grogu, right? All I just want to see is him. I just want to see him force pull milk out of titty. That's all.
I was about to say kids don't want to see the Mandalorian, but then I was just on the stream where they was talking about fucking Mad Max with the gay ass outfits on, watching it as children. I was like, I don't know what children to watch no more. But look, in Mandalorian, so the end, I love the end when you had those two troopers who was like aiming at their can. They was like, we can't shoot for shit. And then they was hitting the baby in the bag. Then I was like, okay, these people really don't give a shit about this series and they having fun. But just stuff like that, when you're doing stuff like that within the show, it makes me care less about little Grogu. Because he didn't even, it's like the show don't even care about Grogu. They got these two grown-ass men like abusing this child. And yes, I like big, powerful shit and crazy visuals. That child would have force pulled their ass, like choked them from in the bag or something. Then I'll be like, oh, okay, now we're working with something. Now Grogu's training is coming.
I want to see a horror movie with Baby Yoda as like Chucky.
Yes,
that would one be wild.
As what that species being carnivore, so they got like sharp teeth. They eat meat. That would make sense. You're a fucking baby, and if a human is around, that's a weaker species in your eyes. Yes, that's prey. Let's make it happen.
only way we're gonna get this is at this point is watching that Peter Pan spinoff, man, or it's Peter Pan reinterpretation because it's a public domain now. As close as we're gonna get Escape from Neverland.
Somebody pointed out the Continental being a John Wick spinoff. Yeah, that's true. That's coming out this year, I think.
Yes. I just don't know what they're gonna do.
Well, it works because that world you like, right? They're building out this world that's interesting, similar to how they kind of do in is it Day Shift, right? That's the Jamie Foxx one. Yeah, they kind of build up that universe a little bit, and it's interesting enough where you go, okay, I'd like to know this other little corner of it. I would watch another movie there. That's why it works so well. But if they, I don't know, if the like again, if there's what's another series that came out or movie that has like action in it that doesn't seem that interesting to go into another corner of. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Most of them are like Top Gun. Do you want to see a Top Gun spin-off somewhere else? Like, no, not really.
No.
Like, what would be, what's so different about Top Gun than like just another jet movie or something? You know, like a fighter pilot movie.
I mean, well, yeah, it's hard to tell those movies outside of it anyway. Because if you did, you'd be like, "Where's Maverick?" You know, because you'd be expecting something like this. If it's in that same vein, it's too close. You're gonna want to see the actual characters that really remind you of it, or you're like, well, why don't I just go back and watch Top Gun again? So, certain movies are kind of hard to do that way. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say and that's why a lot of studios will just somehow attach the name to it. Be like, Top Gun, New Generations, and it has nothing to do with the original Top Gun, right?
It'd be all.
And they're just trying to use
training.
Yeah, they just use the name just to get the publicity. That way, people see it, and it breaks the noise from all of the other content that's being pushed out right there. That's why I hate a lot of the reboots / spinoffs happen, is that they have to force in the connection. And that by itself, I think that's what a great spinoff does too, is that even if you put it in a totally different universe, separate from whatever one it's spinning off from, so like the Continental will only be good, in my opinion, if it was somehow made with no connection at all to John Wick and it was still good.
Oh yeah,
if that makes
sense. That's what I was saying, because the thing with the Continental is, I don't know if you read the comic book, but there are Continentals all over the world too. So it's like the Continental that they show you in the book is actually in El Paso as opposed to the one in New York. So if you need to tell me one that's completely set apart from the one in New York or El Paso, and tell me why it's actually like the one we want to focus on. Otherwise, we're just watching a hotel with passing characters. Or even if you do something like in the vein of American Horror Story. I don't know. I don't know how you make something like a spy thriller assassin show, but you know, Baby John Wick, she's in with Nerf guns. Actually, have y'all seen Nerf John Wick? Like, that's a real thing.
The Corridor Media, whatever thing, or what?
No. The Baby John. I'm sorry, Baby John Wick. It's not Baby John Wick, but it's John Wick with Nerf guns. It's actually really cool. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, otherwise, it's hard to get interested in these kind of spin-offs, but I'll give the Continental a chance because I like John Wick. It's just going to be hard to say, when's John Wick going to get here? I think they're going to be tempted to bring him in at some point as a cameo. If it's young, if it's the first job, he's passing through or what, I think they're going to be tempted to bring him in to give it some legitimacy, or to say that Winston's giving it a once-over before passing back through the Continental on New York. I think the temptation is going to be too great to want to bring them in to give it, a stamp of approval or so.
All right, so that reminds me, spinoffs of mature stories. So there was a spinoff of Pacific Rim, and there was a spinoff of Jurassic Park, Camp Cretaceous, which fucking sucks. Yeah. You can't make me believe it. Yeah, it sucks for obvious reasons. The kids won't get eaten up. But the Pacific Rim one, which I couldn't keep watching, it was boring. But I don't know if they had the 2-person issue with Pacific Rim. But I said that to say I would watch a spinoff of Pacific Rim if they were, like I was talking on last stream about, like the little Zords, before they turn to the Megazord and everybody's in their individual one. If they had that approach, because I think the kaiju were smaller and they just kept getting bigger, and the humans couldn't keep up with like building what was these things, whatever they call those, Jaegers, big enough to actually combat those bigger kaiju. So if you give me a prequel, like a spinoff to where they were in smaller little robots, different forms. Some were, human, anthropomorphic, some animal like, and showed those teams of dudes actually fighting kaiju and they were winning. I think that'd be dope. And as the kaiju got bigger, then it shows, okay,
they're getting their ass struggle. Kicked.
Yes. So I would be fine with the end where they getting wiped and they just like, oh, something like that. But that would make more sense as opposed to me just watching Pacific Rim.
And, I guess it's at a certain point, like you don't have for a spinoff, you ain't got that kind of budget to make these little mini kaijus. And then at some point they get their ass kicked. So I'm just like, get to the ass kicking for me. Like, let me know when the real threat had to be like, we need these motherfuckers to be bigger. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for me to watch. You know what I'm saying?
It wasn't hard for you to watch them have issues with two people being in a suit. But you'll have issues with smaller robots.
I want to know this logic here in Ego's brain.
Wait, what logic where?
Well, no, just like where you're like, okay, this is too much for me. And this when we're talking about the two people thing, you're like, wow, I don't see an issue with that.
When you get in a plane with a pilot and a co-pilot.
Yeah. It's a common concept.
Yes.
And it's been done before in anime and stuff. I don't know what the problem is.
It has been done in anime with Gundam with one person per. Okay, so that's the issue that we're speaking about, Lofty. You Americans accept a big ass robot having to be piloted by two people, but the Japanese say, no, we need one person in our robots. And there's a whole bunch of people out there in their robots. You fucking shit up.
Ours are so big and complicated, we need two people to man it. Okay,
bro, they've built a real Gundam in Japan.
And I bet you it's more than one person operating that thing.
The shit was such a cultural impact, though, that they decided we're gonna make a real one, as opposed to what are the Americans doing with the Jaegers over here?
How many people? I'm looking at shit right now.
I've seen old Super Sentai. I don't know if they still going like the Power Rangers. If so, heck no.
Making me upset right now. Hold on,
bro. Yeah, Pacific Rim S. It was fine. I like the fighting of monsters, but yeah, the what are they called? The Titans. So that whole Kong and Godzilla type thing, that'd be a spinoff, a prequel of seeing them when they were actually running shit, and fighting each other from time to time. I think that'd be a dope spinoff.
Kong and Godzilla?
Titans. So Kong, Godzilla, the elephant face gorilla thing. What's the big moth? Who's it? Ghidorah? Is that the three-headed one? Or Gamora? Whoever.
Ghidorah. Yeah.
Well, like seeing that dude be the king at some point. What's this Hollow Earth thing? That's some prequel stuff some spin-off stuff that I'd be interested in. That'll it could be better than the original, but you only got it because of the original, whether or not you think the original was trash or whatever.
Right.
We was talking about Korra. I mean, Korra is a continuation, but I think that has Lofty. Did you watch that? The Avatar Korra?
I don't know what that is. Oh no, I didn't. No.
Okay.
No.
Don, did you watch it?
I watched like the part of the first season, and it was kind of interesting because they had like a very communist villain in there, which is kind of cool concept. Yeah, he basically is like, there's like a 2-class system. There's the benders versus the non-benders, and he was gonna try to start taking their powers right away and make it basically class warfare, which is interesting. But it really dropped off for me because the characters were not that interesting, especially Korra, who's an insufferable bitch. She's like one of the very first examples that we got of these Mary Sue like characters that don't suffer at all. They don't have like really a fun redeemable factor, because even if there is like a what do you want to say, Gary Sue, like a person out there that
Wesley
things kind of
Crusher.
come easy to them.
That's a male version.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm saying, like, even if they go, well, why do you like Aang so much? He's kind of like a Mary Sue, but a guy. It's like, well, there's other factors why I like Aang, and I like him other than that, and she doesn't have any redeemable factors.
In the series as a whole.
So, yeah, I didn't really watch it after a few episodes in, but, I mean, I like the idea of building off in the world, and also what I will say nice about it is that the time actually progressed forward. The technology did too, which is cool to see in a universe.
Yeah, that was. I've said like Korra. Everything was fine about Korra except Korra herself. So when your protagonist sucks, it just kind of like how long would this actually last? I think it's probably still talked about just because of that. Those her fans, her fan base. I think it's more so of them being fans of her and yeah, her being gay.
Yeah, like ego.
Um, man, he would not watch it.
Watch what?
The Legend of Korra.
Fuck that. No.
Yeah, so yeah, I liked Korra. Bolin, I thought he was dope. Mako, one of my dogs named after him. They had a fucking ferret. I got ferrets. The metal bending, so like the advancement of bending.
That was cool.
Example of world building. Mako and Bolin having, I guess, mixed race, mixed culture parents. So they ended up developing two different like bending styles. That was cool. Varric, he was a funny ass character. He was entertaining, him and Bolin. So it was a lot of stuff. And then the choreography, the fight choreography was still great in The Legend of Korra. So it has some good things about it. I understand strong woman agenda. Yeah, Mary Sue. But you can easily do multiple like spin-offs or see other avatars as
the problem for us is the fact that we would have rather seen spinoffs as actual characters that were in the Avatar. Like we would have wanted to see, and if you read the comics, they do have this. Like Toph Beifong opens up her own metal bending school. Like I read that book. I'd want to see. I don't even know if I want to see A and Katara's relationship because that's whatever. You can tell me about what it's like for what's to do with the face thing? He's the new Fire Lord, right?
Oh, Zuko?
Zuko? I'm sorry. Yeah, Zuko. Yeah, I want to see how Zuko has to manage the Fire Empire. No, listen. Because in the first book, The Promise, he actually is like, yo, I don't know how to run an empire, let alone one my father was like an asshole of. Now I'm trying to figure out the Fire Nation. Does the Fire Nation have to leave an earthbending kingdom? And it's like, well, what if your mom's was from the Fire Nation, your dad's from the Earth Nation, and you're the kid of that? Like those are concepts we would have wanted to see in a spinoff, not jumping 80 years in the future, talking about, cunt Korra over here doing all the shit at 6 years old. We don't want that. Like give us spinoffs for the original characters. That's what I mean by a true spinoff. That's like Legend of Korra is a continuation of Suck Balls.
Yeah. So it's funny that you say that because the spinoffs that you said you would have liked to see, like the metal bending school and the mixed race families and whatnot, that's exactly what I was saying were the highlights of Korra.
But I read the book and they did it better.
I get you. Yeah, I get you 100%.
That's what I'm saying.
But
you jumped 80 years in the future, so why do I care? That's all.
But the fact that the to visit, so it's like, yeah, Korra was terrible. Well, let's see what the other series, the Legend of Yang Jin, is going to be like. Korra, the past like water avatar, stuff like that, because apparently he had more of an experience in the spiritual world. And you saw, because you said who was the face dude, I thought you meant that centipede, Ko. If you make a facial expression, then he'll steal your face. So he got out of here, but to see that avatar go through that and getting his face stolen or his lover's face stolen, like that's stuff like that is dope. And then especially going darker with different avatars, like Kyoshi, for instance, who will beat the shit out of anybody and was an actual strong female character. Like that's who that character is. I'd want to watch it. But yeah, I think Korra was pushed to be that, and that was an example of politics or agenda overriding the actual story.
I guess. I mean, like I said, I tried to watch it. I couldn't get into it. That's all.
I think it's AJ's audio. Oh, I just want to say, I think I was hearing AJ's audio kind of cut out there a little bit.
Cut it now.
I don't know if you're downloading or something.
I was hearing y'all cut out too, man. I don't know what's happening.
I heard that too. I was like, is that my hand?
I hit the refresh button. Canoli was telling me that he's been having audio problems with StreamYard too.
Okay.
Or someone else.
It cleared up. It was really at the beginning, and then after that, it was totally fine. But it's funny you guys were saying like you guys are so interested in like whatever race mixing part of it. Earlier in the stream, you guys had like no patience for it with this new Netflix movie coming out.
I'm glad you brought us back.
Thank you. Thank you. That's an hour and a half segue. Go ahead.
I mean, that movie, it was You People. And I'm a Jonah Hill fan. Like, you're fans of everybody in this movie for the most part. But
I'm not a Jonah Hill fan at all.
Okay,
He's like,
okay.
Hey, let me get neurotic, short, fat Vince Vaughn and pay him less and see what happens.
But then he ended up with the girl from what was that? What was the T.I. movie?
ATL.
Yeah, I was about to say Atlanta or some shit like.
And that's why we know this man's batting way out of his league, sir. She retarded. If you pull Lauren London looking like a fat an obese drug dealer from the 80s with an out of date haircut, she retarded. It ain't her. It ain't you. It's her.
Yeah, I'm missing.
Shit, audio bugging
yeah,
again.
I hear it. It's AJ's thing. Can you hear me fine? Real quick.
I hear y'all fine. Hold on.
Bro, yeah.
I can hear you, Don.
Okay, yeah. Lofty, I haven't heard you really break up at all. I think AJ's downloading something massive off the internet right now.
It's porn.
Yeah, it's some nasty furry porn.
Keep that mute button on, bro.
Yeah.
Don't let it auto play.
Go
ahead,
that trailer looked awful though when I first saw it. You
does.
People, I was like, "What the fuck is going on here? Who's this?" That's what I'm wondering. Who's
Eddie
this
Murphy?
for?
My dad watched that movie last night.
What do you think of it?
He hated it.
It looks terrible.
Yeah,
it's
he said Eddie Murphy lost like all his charm.
It's because he tried to take him too seriously. Like, yo, after you should have stopped after Boomerang. Like, I'll let Harlem Nights slide, but Boomerang, I mean, we get it. You're trying to be the lover boy in the 80s, but I mean, you're not that guy. We get your attempt, but go back to comedy. It works better for you. So when I saw that he was in You People, I was like, I know the exact kind of person you're trying to be, and you're not that guy. Yeah. Ice Cube did a better job in 21 Jump Street Reboot than you're doing right now. Like, you actually have to have someone that looks physically intimidating, but might have those old school views. Like, if you told me that somehow you got Denzel Washington to play the dad, now we're talking. I need to see this because he's intense. How are you going to make him somewhat funny and likable? You know what I'm saying? Like, so you think you're going to take my daughter right now? Huh? What are you going to do if a bad guy comes up to you? What are you going to do? Huh? What's going on? What are you doing? Like, you'd be like, well, damn, what would you do? I'm black, and I'm like, well, what would I do?
What was that voice you're doing? He sounded Italian for a second.
I'm trying to get
Robert De Niro.
I'm trying to get some kind of version between a slowed down version of what Denzel Washington sounds and the Brooklyn accent that comes out too. I don't have it down yet.
That's true.
I don't have it down. When it's perfected, I'll let y'all know.
Thank you. I would like to be the first one to hear it as soon as it's perfected, though.
It sounds He's stuck with that weak shit.
It's like he need the full Denzel experience for him to take the pants off.
Yeah. All I'm saying is, for me, is like the story doesn't make sense. Like when you did the reboot, or not the reboot, I guess it's a reboot. We did Guess Who with Ashton Kutcher and Zoe Saldana, and then you had Bernie Mac. That worked because you understood all the characters and how they portray themselves. So you knew Ashton Kutcher was going to be awkward, but try to still get the respect. Bernie Mac was going to be very judgmental, but still willing to learn. And Zoe Saldana looks like the open and honest person that she is, that she would bring the white guy home to her black family and not really necessarily tell them about him. So, it winds up being a comedy of errors in that way. You People doesn't even look like that at all. It's like, well, hey, I have a very, very accepting white family, and then the very, very, very judgmental black family. Where do you go from here? I don't give a shit. So, I mean, like I said, I'm telling you right now, my wife is white. And when I met her mom, there wasn't even a problem. She was just like, hey, does anyone say anything? Because it's an interracial relationship. And we're like, no, we live in Philly. Like, no one really gives a shit. And like, that was it. So, oh, okay. And like that, even with my parents, they're like, oh, okay, that's cool. Whatever, moving on. So there wasn't any comedy of errors to be had there. So for me, You People doesn't even sound like it's really trying.
All I'm saying is if my daughter comes home with some person that doesn't look exactly like me, there's going to be some issues. Like I'm saying, like spitting image, like me, right?
a clone.
Exactly. Well, I'm like, what the?
Well,
fuck
I mean,
is
so
going
I will say this. I know that it's kind of a segue, but a lot of people got upset with Hulk Hogan being mad at his daughter Brooke Hogan for dating black dudes, right? I understand if you have a grandchild, you might want that child to look at least somewhat like you. So I'm not going to say racist this, racist that on it. You have the reserve. You reserve the right to say like, I at least want to see my kid, the grandkid, in me. So like that's where it also goes with these things too, with who you bring home. Like I understand some people may want that. It's just I don't give a shit, as long as baby is not like some kind of fucking mutant or something like that. And unless by mutant, I mean like if you shoot lasers out of your eyes, we can work with that. But if you come out looking like the Fly in the aftermath of things, like we got problems then.
The mom in that movie said, "Well, that's fine. We're dwindling in numbers, but it's okay as long as you happy."
Hey, I gotta get going.
All right, that was funny to me.
Thank you for having me. Stupid, man.
I gotta go eat. I'm so hungry.
All right, man.
All right, dude.
I haven't
Get to
eaten
it, man.
today.
Catch you later, dude.
Appreciate you, Lofty. I'm gonna
Thanks
get
for
you on
having
for
me
a
on.
Disney.
That
Get
was
you
a
on for a
fun
Disney stream.
conversation. Yeah. No, that was a fun conversation. I like talking about like reboots and stuff because it's like too many people are like, "Oh, Hollywood's doing another reboot. It's gonna suck." It's like, well, Dune actually was pretty good. I don't mind the idea of a reboot. I just think like most of the time they're doing it for the money and they're not doing it for like you know what I mean? Like they're kind of selling out like most of the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a good conversation. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. We appreciate it.
Good
man.
to talk
Thank
to you
you.
guys. Bye.
Lofty. Kitchen got a little too hot for Lofty there. Didn't know what to say.
Man, but that You People stuff, Copa said you saw it in theaters, man. But I didn't know they came out of theaters. But that's the movie I'm talking about, You People. But yeah, man, the movie was terrible, and I think Guess Who did a better job because it was being comedic. It was genuinely funny as opposed to this movie that makes the approved jokes, which let's just talk shit about the white guy. And that just made it. It wasn't funny for that, but then like Eddie Murphy, like I was saying, he played a better dad in Dr. Dolittle. Like I believed him more of a father in that
family
movie.
Man,
as a family man, as opposed to this one where it's like I'm this
super
judgmental black dude. Like he was supposed to be exactly that. And then like in his own family, like I guess he was the that's my slave name. I'm now like family had issues with him, so he's playing this character for us and them.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. We're talking about Norbit in the chat right now. I love this Norbit talk because I remember Norbit came out. Underrated classic Nosferatu. You said it's aggressively unfunny. Come on. They're making him eat the turkey butt, right? That was a whole a bit in it. He gets the turkey butt. What is the turkey butt?
I don't know.
I don't want it, though. Come on, the catchphrase, how you doing, right?
How are you doing? Yeah. No, he's going to jump back in. Like, his audio's been cutting in and out. I told him to come back in.
Dude, yeah.
No, I was okay with Norbit. Rasputia was a hilarious name to have. Like, the fact that she got stuck in the water slide was hilarious. It's like, well, hey, someone with such a low self-esteem like Norbit, you kind of would wind up with the Rasputia. So, I mean, it made sense. And the funny thing was, is like she was always jumping his bones. It didn't matter the occasion. So they were trying to tell you that by saying, Happy President's Day. And she jumped on him. Happy 4th of July. And she jumped on him.
The cinder blocks on the bed. Dude.
It worked for me.
Listen, I'm a disgusting creature. I look more like like who's her name? The girl. What's her name again?
Rasputia.
Rasputia.
Yeah, such an ugly name. Dude,
I was okay with it.
I'm gonna watch that movie right now.
Great movie, I was okay
classic.
with it.
It worked for me. And even then, it wanted having a cute ending. So
it's so stupid, and they're just swinging for the fences. I don't know. I'm more okay with that. That's like a lot of fun because it's just dumb bits. Yeah, sure, it's probably not the greatest movie start to finish, but come on. You gotta appreciate some of the fat shaming in that too. It's like, I look in the mirror, I look closer to her than anything else. I'm like, God damn.
Damn, Don. I need to see you, man, so we can fix this.
Once you see me, you'll not unsee me.
All the gay jokes out the way. I would never attempt again or mess with
Oh my god.
Nah, man, Norbit. No, I couldn't even. I haven't even watched that movie all the way through. I just can't get through it. It's you talking about cringe, terrible. Yeah, that's that. Kind of like Jack and Jill from Adam Sandler. But I got through that
another
movie.
Classic. Another classic.
Which one was
The
Jack
Dunk
and
and
Jill?
Chill, dude. It's great. It's a great bit.
Yes.
The one where he plays the twins.
Yes. Yeah.
And he plays the sister as well.
Mm-hmm.
I
Such a
got
convincing performance.
I don't know why.
He probably should have gotten an Academy Award nomination. Adam Sandler for that movie. That was great.
Look, I got a cousin just like
I can't remember.
Just like you. It made that movie so much more funny to me. Funnier than it should have been. Because I know that person.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. No fraud. You got some trash takes in this chat right now. You're pissing me off. Oh, these movies are unfunny. Oh. I'm sure you and your like New York, upstate, whatever property you own, Nosferatu. I'm sure you're turning your nose up to great content like Jack and Jill and Norbit.
Bro, that shit's terrible. And no, I can understand people can't get through. My God. Like I hadn't even seen Grease. My wife was just watching Grease.
Wait, what?
And I was like, yeah.
Are you serious?
And it's like, if I went this long without watching some shit, it's like that's my mission now. I got to make sure to never watch this movie in my life.
Oh, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy.
I agree with that.
Don't
yeah,
be that guy.
if you've gone this long, you might as well not.
Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Come on now.
There was an intersection. Me and Gator, growing up, we never went underneath this bridge, and it was our life's goal not to ever go underneath that bridge after a certain while. Like we've lasted 18 years not going underneath there. We cannot go underneath there.
That's good. Just like stick to it. You don't need it.
Commit to it. Too many people have no standards like ego, just being like, fine, you should watch Grease. You should watch it. It's really good.
Grease was good, okay? That's all I'm saying. Grease was good.
Nah.
Yeah, right.
I saw John Travolta do like some little, like there was the dance number with him and the girl. He did this, like, and I was like, bro, that was so extra. like, I'm not watching this shit, man. Oh yeah, the girl said Peachy Keen. I was like, oh my goodness, fuck this movie. No.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Come on, Grease is not over. It's properly rated. Go. I'm sorry.
All right. I know a lot of the spinoffs that I was thinking of. There was a bunch of animated shit because y'all know Disney did the thing where they had a little spinoff cartoon to come after every like major movie, which I enjoyed a lot of them. But there was also this like spinoff era where they made everybody young. So you had the Young Flintstones, you had the pup named Scooby-Doo, Tom and Jerry Kids, Tiny Toons. Yeah, so you had those spin-offs.
Insert whatever, right? Like Baby
Muppets,
Babies, whatever, yeah.
And Rugrats were the only ones to just do the total opposite because they was already babies. So they're all grown up. And I mean, those worked. You still, I definitely still watch from time to time. Something like Buzz Lightyear, Star Command. Like that's a spinoff series. You didn't get it if it wasn't for the original, but unlike the Lightyear movie, it opened up that character more to you, so you get to see what they do on a day-to-day basis or the actual occupation. And it makes you want more of that character, I think, as well as the rest of the cast. That has nothing to do with Toy Story. You could have made a movie about Lightyear on its own and it could have worked, but they gave you a great cast as well. Like I said, nothing to do with the original. Here are new characters, new people for you to like, and it works. And Don, I think you're saying that like if you can create a story that has nothing to do with like its attachment. I mean, it's Buzz, but if they can come out with a spinoff or whatever and give you all these newer characters that you care about, I think that is a good example of a franchise like milking their world, but for the better, for entertainment purposes as well as money.
Yeah, I mean, Buzz Lightyear definitely has his own like world, and it's weird because he goes from being a toy like version of himself that you kind of fall in love with, who's not even really.
Yeah.
I guess he kind of is programmed to have the same mindset as like the Buzz Lightyear fictional version, but then you see him grow into a different character, like the Buzz Andy's toy. But yeah, and then you go into the. Well, I also think it helps is that it went to like 2D animation version of it. So there's total separation of like, oh yeah, this is now like a cartoon version of it. This is the Saturday morning cartoon version of it, not the like Lightyear with Pixar. You're like, what the hell's going on here? So this is the movie it was based off of. He looks literally nothing like him. You know, it was like super over the top, realistic looking material and stuff on it. Unlike in the Lightyear, Buzz Lightyear, whatever, Star Command Adventures, I don't remember what exactly what it was called. He looks identical to himself, right? He has the same, nothing's changed with his suit. He doesn't look like less or more put together. And yeah, I really liked that cartoon growing up because it kind of gave you a spin-off and it didn't wreck the lore. That TV show could bomb or be super successful and it wouldn't really hurt like Toy Story, right?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, separate enough to where it can stand on its own and be judged on its own. But it just means so much more when you have the original and the spin-off that does well. Damn, I forgot what my example was. I know the Lilo and Stitch thing was dope because they were it wasn't mature enough to where there was actual fucking
I remember that show.
I loved it because you had these retarded like aliens. Their features could have been actual like they were supposed to be these menacing creatures, but just on a childlike level. So you had like the one that turned people into like babies, the other one make people fall in love with one another. But then you had like the Sparks, I think the electric one. I mean, Stitch himself was designed to destroy cities. Yeah, like Richter. I know a lot of them, their names, so I'm not gonna try to go too far into that. But like the one dude created
You're
fucking
your
earthquakes.
Power level in front of us. You're like, oh yeah, I can just list them all off.
I don't want to be that dorky right now though, but that was a dope series. I think if you would have, let's say, aged Lilo up just a little bit, I mean, it could have worked. But if she was like some actual agent and like using those guns, actually like shooting aliens and shit, and like a Pokemon thing where you got to beat it up before you can actually get it to just kind of relax and like talk to it for a minute.
Beat it into submission. Yeah.
Yes, beat it into submission. Yeah. Take notes from Pokemon and make it happen. Yeah, I think that could have worked, but yeah, childlike. That was something else that I was thinking about, man. It's just it kind of went. I lost it.
Yeah, but like what you were describing, it was kind of like, yeah, that show works without it being a totally connected to Lilo and Stitch. Yeah, it adds a little bit into it, but basically it's this, alien scientist that lost all of his aliens. He's trying to get them back on Earth, and there's some person that's going to help him. There that you could rewrite it. It's not totally dependent on it, and it would still be good. I think that's what, even with a lot of Marvel stuff coming out right now, if you put Miss Marvel by itself or She-Hulk by itself, try to separate totally, remove all connections to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, does it stand by itself? It doesn't. So that's the reason why it's so bad. I don't think people dispute that at all, but I think a lot of people are enjoying aspects of the TV show only because of the connections to it. And if you were to remove all connections of it, it wouldn't stand or be in any way looked at as well. Just like the Velma thing right now, right? That's another just huge spinoff that's being done right now, or spinoff. What would you call this? A reinterpretation, a reimagining? Man,
it's a spinoff. It's a spinoff of Scooby-Doo. I don't know. I think this is where you can get into like that excuse that Lofty gave that I don't like, that this is just another universe.
All calling them out.
Well, it is what it is.
I'm joking. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like to give it the excuse of this is another universe, because like, why? That's just real world excuse. That does nothing for the actual franchise. I could see if it was like that Scooby-Doo comic where I think they were older, but they had like actual gadgets and was going like full steam with the paranormal investigation type stuff. I could see that, but this being them looking totally different, and then the dynamic between the characters, it's just too much of it to where I can't excuse it as a different universe. This is a shitty knockoff.
And they're also like
walking around as a prequel, trying to be a prequel.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if there's nothing, like we really wouldn't see things through the eyes of Velma, nor would we care. It would be through the eyes of Shaggy or Scooby himself. Like we would never really particularly hone in on Velma at all. Like that's the problem I would have had.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but it's also like touching topics they really never touched in Scooby Doo. It's not like during, the original Scooby Doo run, they were talking about the Vietnam War, and they're like, I don't know, Shaggy, I really feel like we're kind of forcing ourselves in there for the excuse of stopping communism, but we're really there just to be doing world build,
Yeah.
country building. And you're like, well, I don't know about that, Fred. It's like, no, none of that stuff was in there. You're shoving this weird agenda in here,
Right.
Yeah.
for no reason. That feels super off.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying with that comic of Scooby-Doo. I think if you give people like a mature version of a story or something that's slightly different, but it still kept like core characteristics, like the Rings of Power, for instance. Like people don't like Galadriel because like that's not fucking Galadriel that we know. So sure, it might be a different universe, but you're not even taking who that character actually is and doing something with it. Again, same with Lightyear. That was my issue. But yeah, I think that's what Velma. That's why I'm like, this is just a shitty knockoff. Like, I don't know what to like really where to put this at. But as far as like reboots, I think X-Men Evolution. I think that was another great fucking reboot.
Yeah. Well, yeah, interpretation of it. And I feel like a lot of comic books will do that. They'll just do the reboot, right? Because it's primed up for it. Like, how many Spider-Man animated TV shows have we seen, right?
Yeah.
They're reboots of reboots of reboots.
What up, Epic Mike? Gotta get this man in on a werewolf conversation.
Oh, is he furry like you? I've never heard of Epic Mike's furriness. That's never heard that on Tuesday night's main event.
I will take that. All right, and I will take all the furry comments, but I can't have you dropping my people in their group. So Mike will have to defend himself. But nah, bro, we are werewolf fanatics, not furries.
Weirdos.
Okay. The trash. This should put me in the trash for what? X-Men Evolution? No, X-Men Evolution. So I think that was a good that was a dope reboot. Yeah, like they're younger and everything, but I think it worked again with that modern audience because I'm not saying I would have had an issue with it if I was a kid and I'm watching like all of them be older, or because they still kept those elements with like Storm, Wolverine, Professor X was still like that mentor. You still had Magneto as like the main villain, like Mystique. I think that show gave us more like backstory.
To her, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, like on her and like other characters, like you had that personal relationship with Wolverine and Sabretooth throughout the series where, unlike where Pops, I know Pops is mentioning or talking about the animated series, where that series kind of we're just jumping in.
Say it again, your audio dropped out.
Yeah, you couldn't.
Damn. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. I was saying like in X-Men the animated series, I'm gonna say it louder and slower.
Thank you.
That show, it's your audio doing that.
But look, that show just drops characters in, newer characters, and assume that the audience already knew them, as opposed to X-Men Evolution that actually introduced characters. And you saw Wolverine and Sabretooth's rivalry throughout the series. They not getting the love they deserve, man. And Mike, I'm telling you, there's a renaissance. He said it's corny as heck. Man, get out of here. Nightcrawler was cool as shit.
I think like, that's the only reason you watch Evolution, bro.
I look like a human now. He's like, got my watch on.
Yeah, I like X-Men Evolution. Yeah, it felt like a cool kid version of X-Men series that was going on. The Bryan Singer movies that were coming out. It's like, yes, this is definitely way more. It felt like it could have been in the same universe. Clearly wasn't, but yeah, I did like it.
And then like I saw somebody made a video about the references to like Buffy when the girls was dancing. And I was just like, "Oh, this is nice." I don't know if it's true or not.
It is. I saw the side by side. It is, yeah.
So like stuff like that, where I think I was telling Don about this Kill La Kill.
Oh yeah, he's like, I watch it for the plot. Wink, wink.
Definitely for the plot, but that show does a great job of like paying homage to other series, like definitely Marvel. Like in the first episode, there's a kid in the back of the class and he's playing with a Hulk and an Iron Man action figure. And like a lot of the forms that they take, because they do the like Sailor Moon, like transforming type thing. A lot of the forms that they take are based off of like Marvel characters, like Colossus, Juggernaut. One dude got a Spider-Man outfit. The main character, she got a Wolverine like outfit. So what was I saying it for? Oh yeah, that show did a great job of showing like, okay, we're influenced or inspired by other properties. So X-Men Evolution did that with that Buffy scene, but the creative decisions, like taking Scarlet Witch and turning her into that like emo, like goth, weird type, whatever she was hot. So I mean,
you mean Rogue?
Yeah,
no, Scarlet Witch.
And
Scarlet Witch and Rogue, both of them.
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
I guess it's more dramatic for Rogue, but you know, I appreciate that. Like somebody was saying, like the Jinx from the Teen Titans series, how that's not the actual Jinx, and I was like, well, shit, I didn't know. But just like kids gonna grow up like defending Miles Morales, I was defending that Jinx. So I'm like, this is my Jinx.
Well, actually, you know what? I actually wanted to show you something because you're talking about defending Miles Morales. And I had found something that Excipitor sent me. I'm gonna show it to you real quick. I don't know what's gonna happen once we do this, but
I like Spike. What are y'all talking about?
I like Spike too.
It was kind of forced. But I was gonna say, if you're talking about Miles Morales, let me show you something real quick. This compares your Miles Morales here. Let's check this out. Hold up.
What do y'all think Spike was forced?
Shit.
Do I add it to the stream or you got it?
I got it. Hold on 1 second. I'm just gonna bring it up now because he showed. I got this. I'm gonna show.
See, Epic Mike, he's bouncing out. So, thanks for stopping by. Also, remember if you haven't already, smash that like button, everybody.
Yeah, appreciate your mic coming through, man. And we'd love to get you on the show with one day.
Y'all hear this?
Yeah, man.
You really with that werewolf talk? Come on, focus, AJ.
Exactly.
I believe in you.
Everybody get on me for being a werewolf. I need company. I need backup. I need the pack. Kill like yo, somewhere subtext. Yeah. Kill like kill, man. You're gonna find a bunch of like real, and that's why I say watching the dub. Ego, you're supposed to bring it up. I was gonna let you do it, but there was this one line where the kid shit in the first episode, Don. That's why I said you gotta watch the dub. Because the kid so there's siblings that the main character meets, Mako, and I forgot her little brother name, but she was like, get to school. He was out there like with his gang and they beating people, they robbing people. But the kids, so it's kind of funny. And she was like, you're late to school, and he was like,
shit, we gotta open your audio.
You know, institutional man, fuck it, I'm listening, y'all.
You cut out.
Bro, I can't follow you because
right as you're getting to the line.
Right, I was right.
What are you downloading? What are you downloading? Can't it wait?
Nothing. I'm doing nothing. I'm doing nothing differently.
Yeah, right.
Okay, we'll hear the pub horn.
The apocalypse is happening.
My channel's under attack. They're trying to suppress me.
I'm stop talking, man. Ego, pull it up. You had it. It was right there.
I had it.
Dude,
was y'all
no
not,
joke, guys.
Y'all not hear it?
There's nothing going on right here. These two are the biggest boomers on YouTube. No joke. I sat for probably 15 minutes backstage this morning, like before the show started, and I was like, "Oh, eventually they'll let me in." Sent them a conversation in the private chat. Nope, doing their own thing.
People are leaving because of my audio.
Could you not hear when I had that in the Instagram up on there? Could you not see anything or hear anything?
You didn't even have it up here on on the screen.
Oh, that's okay. I know what happened. Okay, let me do this again. Hold up, my bad. Because I was playing it and I was like, "Why aren't y'all saying anything?"
Yeah, it's like this is hilarious.
If we can do it, anybody can.
Here we go. All right,
get better equipment than us, and you'll make it.
Okay, so here we go. So you were talking about Miles Morales, and here's him meeting Goku. All right.
Why your hair is black in its normal state, but goes white when you go super. What? Let me break it down for you, my Nimbus cloud colored brother. When you are in your quote unquote super form, your hair becomes white.
Well, actually, blind.
Tomato, my brother. And then they are accented with the devil's blue eye.
Actually, turquoise. Where's this going?
Let him finish. Thank you, my alien zucchini brother. What I'm trying to point out to you is that the word super is the root word for superior. Now, do you feel superior when you have blonde hair and blue eyes versus your black hair and black eyes?
Well, yeah.
Brother, what are you saying?
Yeah, I'm saying.
So you saying, yeah.
Yes, I'm saying.
Wait, brother, do you know what I'm saying?
You're saying?
I'm saying right now.
So you weren't saying before?
Brother, I've been saying this whole time, but you're black. What the fuck you saying?
I didn't know there were black sayings.
Nigga, what?
Wow, that's the first lottery a black person's won in a long time, Billy.
Yes, and they'll probably still complain.
Man, fuck you.
Well played, sir. As I'll say, I see him going Miles Morales going that route at some point. So I'm just letting you know, as much as you love him, that's probably likely to happen to him. I couldn't resist though.
I'm fine with that. He needs to reboot. I feel like keep him wokey woke right now. So get all that bullshit out the way. Is my audio cutting out? Sound like you heard me. Okay.
No, yeah, we can hear you. It's weird. Like, either be at the beginning of your sentence or the very end, and then all of a sudden
it's weird.
We're just like, okay.
It's in and out.
Yeah, I got this shitty snowball mic. I gotta upgrade. I gotta get the little hanging one in my face so everybody else got.
Yeah, get the hanging ball.
Exactly. Yeah. I was trying to it was low hanging fruit.
I don't know. I was not, listen, if you're gonna softball him, I'll just knock him out of the park. Or at least attempt at it.
I had to offset the cringe of the clip.
All good. All good.
All right, y'all. We had an hour and 52 minutes. Y'all got another examples, reboots, spin-offs, good and bad.
I mean, for me, it's like, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, chat. Y'all throw in some of the ones. I know that they were saying some ones that were MASH spinoffs. I mean, I remember that there was, oh God, there was a spinoff movie was like The Net, which was trying to be a spinoff of Speed. There's Time Cop, Total Recall 2070. I remember the RoboCop TV show they tried to make that was a spinoff. So I mean, like I said, they tried to make a lot more spinoff during the 90s, maybe the early 2000s, but it was a heartfelt attempt to make a show from a movie. So it's like we talked about this. We were getting into an argument because we were trying to figure out which one we prefer. If you had to choose, would you rather have a spinoff of something popular or a reboot of something popular? Like, AJ, what were you think? What were you saying on that one?
Dude, you making me would you rather right now?
Well, I got an answer real quick if AJ can just think of it for a little bit. Because
I know Don said he hates when you give people two choices and they're like, well, I'm not going to pick either one.
For real. But if it's like a would you rather, it's like here are two awful things, and they go, I don't want to pick one because that would suck to do that one. I'm like, yeah, no fucking shit would suck. It's just you have to like now justify which one would be less sucky, and I just want to hear your justification for people. Oh, I hate people in the real world.
So the funny thing about that is the reason people would like to go for the third option because there's always some dude like you who want to pull out something super gay. Or you gotta do something sexual with like a parent.
Yes.
Okay, dudes like you, bro.
Dude, that's hilarious though. Like you got you and your boys just saying shit. It's funny. It is funny. But when people will say something like, just recently in one of my polls I made on my channel was like, which actors do you like better for House of the Dragon, the younger actress or the older one? And so many of them, like this is a very easy hypothetical. You just go, I liked her probably a little bit more. She had better maybe scripts for her to portray on screen than the other one did. People will say, I think both were great. I'm like, dude, you're not trying to impress anybody. It's not like one of them is like waiting for you to like say the right thing and come through the door being like, thank you. Oh, this was a test. It's like, shut the fuck up. Just press the button. One or the other. That's all you have to do. Yeah. It's not that hard.
Oh my God.
You need them both for the story to work.
Yeah, no fucking shit. You need both. Yeah. Shut the fuck up. Uninstall yourself from YouTube and life.
Look, C4C, Thundercat. Thundercat was amazing reboot.
We'll take it.
Yeah, Stephen Ransom. Yeah, I do need to watch this Kill to Kill. It looks great. The animation, the action, the plot looks great. It looks so big and juicy. Great plot.
Even from the side.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the underplot. Yeah. Okay, real quick. What would I rather have a spin-off or a reboot? It really depends. Like I think I was talking a little bit earlier on the stream of what we're talking about. Because do I want a spin-off of something in like the Spider-Man universe? It's like I don't know. Probably not. I don't know if it'd be all that great. I think that's why a lot of people are hating what Sony's doing with it. These characters aren't all that deep. Like, who wants a Madam Web spinoff? Who's begging for that? Now, there could be a good Madam Web story. There could be a great story there. However, that's not my number one thing to like go to. I like bigger, richer worlds to do spinoffs in. Like we said, Song of Ice and Fire is Westeros. That's fun to do spinoffs in because it's so deep and it's a different world. It's weird to do like a spinoff in like New York City on something. I don't know. It's not that rich to me, whatever. But
not at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. What would I rather want more? I guess it depends on the property. So if you said Spider-Man, I'd say I'd want a reboot versus a spinoff.
Okay.
But if it's something like fantasy driven or something with a rich world, yeah. Dread Robert says Hercules Disney reboot, frowny face.
Oh, you talking about the one that's coming out soon?
Yeah, the TikTok inspired one they supposedly said.
As well as the Lilo and Stitch one. I'm not looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lilo and Stitch. Oh, I hope they bring in some of your favorite aliens. In the TV show, right?
I doubt it. It's a live action remake, so I don't even think they're going to go that direction. But I'm glad you said that. You've been an asshole. But truthfully, I think that's what a good reboot would do. It's like you retell the story, but with information that's been new information that's presented. Like I was saying with the instead of doing a Mufasa prequel, it would have been nice if they did do. It would have been nice if they got the remake right, actually. And then in that second one, you do a reboot, or you're rebooting it. But let's say Lion King 1 and Lion King 2, the animated ones, different people worked on them, but it introduced new lore that actually worked. So in a reboot of that series, then you mention those elements. Like in the first movie, we would see Scar possibly hang out in the Outlands, like with his wife and kid, and then maybe you see the actual adoption of Kovu, or some of those magical elements introduced in the Lion Guard. But I forgot what the fuck you was just talking about where a spinoff could, this Hercules, this one, or the Lilo and Stitch series. Like they made it to actually made it known, which I guess they did by Stitch being number 626, but all the rest of them could have just been failed. So they didn't really explain that. But yeah, like something like that to introduce in an actual reboot. Like, oh, we're going to have to go after all of these other aliens in the process. But no, Don, you didn't really give a fucking answer. You said,
"Well, I know." I said it's very dependent on it, because whether the world like has me begging, like, how did this come about? Like you said with the Lilo and Stitch. Well, if he's 600 and whatever 66, like which one is? What are the story about the other ones? How does this professor have this thick ass and not getting smashed every day? Right from Lilo and Stitch.
He was in jail for a while, so
yeah. Whoever that villain guy was, who was like voiced by Michael Duncan Clark, right? Wasn't he?
Gentoo.
Yes.
Yeah, dude, he was pounding that poor professor.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Can we take a second to say the thickness on Lilo's sister was?
Oh, yo!
They were grooming us at a young age. Like them thick.
I was already into it. They just gave me what I wanted. Yeah. Big nose as well. So yeah.
Big nose too.
I'll take them nostrils, yes, sir. And I need. I don't have a cape, bro. This is a blanket poncho type thing.
Yeah, it's a cape.
I'm saying.
No, it's not.
It's
a covering.
It's a cape.
It's a covering.
I'm saying, bro.
I think gun to my head. What do I have to say? Spin-off. Give me a spin-off because I feel like there's a lot more creative freedom there. It doesn't feel like you're like stepping on the toes of something that already came beforehand. And I think you have the ability to make something great. But then at the end of the day, it all comes down to the script and all of these other aspects of making a great story that can't always just be boiled down to this whatever decision.
Gun in my head is spin-offs. I've seen too many good spin-offs. And if you do a great job of world building beforehand, then you can milk that franchise and it makes sense. Reboots are only good when it's a modernization. Other than that, they're just cash grabs that don't work out. Don't do anything for the franchise. When y'all was talking about the Mad Max, and if Fury Road or whatever it is, if that's a reboot, that makes sense because I think The first Mad Max is apparently people didn't even watch that one before they watched the second one, and the first one has, like it's not, the second one is not built off of it. The second one can like stand alone on its own. So I can see if a person reboots something like that, and just made it make a more cohesive story, then yeah, that works. But for the most part, just give me a good spinoff. I've enjoyed the main story. Now let me explore some of the some other elements that probably don't have world-ending stakes, and yeah, spinoffs all day, even if it's a baby version of something. Baby Cobra Kai.
I will roundhouse you, sir. I will roundhouse you. Reboot that shit. That's kind of where I am. Just go ahead and reboot it. Show them what you got. You don't have to necessarily bring in the same concept or characters, but just do the updated version for me. Reboot the whole thing. I'm okay with it. Like, I don't know how the hell you do a Home Alone movie now, because one call to CPS or your next door neighbor, and that movie over. And I mean, even then, even when Home Alone came out, like, call your next door neighbors, not the one with a little annoying boy. Like, you got other neighbors you could have called to check in on Kevin. Movie over. So yeah. I don't know how you do an updated version of it. I will admire your attempt. That's fine. Judge Dredd, like they were saying, that was a great reboot. I was okay with that. I'm trying to figure out another actual good reboot that still could have worked. I mean, we do have examples of where it has worked. Technically, I would consider Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor actual reboots of the 90s versions or the 70s versions that we got back then. So I don't consider those Marvel movies necessarily do, because we already had them back then.
Yeah, and that's weird because, like, with those, there's a source material they're referencing. So when they do a reboot, they can say, hey, we're going to make it more accurate to the actual source material. Like the Narnia, if they redid Narnia, it's a reboot compared to that movie, but they could make it even more accurate to the books if they wanted to. So, that one's a little tricky.
So if that's the case, that goes to my point earlier where Batman is just a fucking IP farm. It's just reboot after reboot after reboot. Because of these other heroes having movies, just by them having movies is considered a reboot. Then having one Batman over the span of fucking 10 years, like, them are just constant reboots. So that's too fucking much.
It is, but at least they're acknowledging that every version of Batman you see is a reboot, because they don't really recognize him. And the only way that you could have acknowledged that would have been with the Joker, knowing that this is another Batman I got to deal with. Which I'd have been okay with, because they say that the funny thing about the Joker, why he's so crazy, because he has super sanity, which means he knows none of this is real. And he's like, I don't see how y'all don't see that this isn't real. And so I'm okay with that concept that only the Joker knows that these are different versions, or he knows he's a different version of himself. That's why I kind of like Three Jokers as a book, because it makes sense to me. So that's why I say just reboot the whole damn thing. You don't have to make it for modern audiences. You just need to modernize the product. That's why 21 Jump Street was so popular, and they had to make a sequel to the reboot with 22 Jump Street, but they were trying to do the crossover with 23 Jump Street MIB, or Merit for Men in Black. But I mean, if you make something more contemporary instead of going for contemporary audiences, I think you can make it work.
Somebody asked about Buffy earlier in some Angel series. I didn't watch Buffy.
Angel was kind of good. I didn't really watch Buffy, but I watched a little bit of Angel. I liked it.
I think I heard Nerd Erotic say good stuff about it. I don't remember.
Yeah, him and Mahler both really like it, but could never get into it. It was like a little bit before my time, and every time I look back on it, it just reminds me of the cringe early 2000s/90s content out there.
It was great. Everyone wore all black. You wore bootcut jeans with little mountain climber boots. You were edgy and emo, but you still looked perfectly model-esque. It was a weird time. I kind of enjoyed it. I'm starting to download music from the 2000s because there's a challenge right now. It's like, hey, would you rather listen to music now or from the 2000s? And they just jump in and start dancing like it's You Got Served. And I'm like, you know what? I really should look more into the 2000s for certain things because it worked for me.
C4C says he waiting on the Robin and Batgirl. And that's what I'm saying. Instead of all these reboots of Batman, you would think one of them got a fucking Robin. And then with their universe, Falcon and Dynamite. I mean, all of those Hanna-Barbera properties that are just on the table that they could be doing some stuff with. WB or whoever owns DC.
All right, well, hold on. Let me ask you something. Would you, if you had a choice between, I know you're not gonna like the binary answer, Don. But I remember
I do like the
Hanna-Barbera.
binary. I just don't like people not refusing the binary. They go, I don't want to choose. Yeah, give me the binary.
Okay, so I'm saying, like, I remember when Hanna-Barbera was doing their thing, and it was Space Ghost, and then there was that family, and it was like a dinosaur triceratops that shot lasers. It was a goo. It looked like someone nut and
The
just
Herculoids.
Yeah, the Herculoids. I'm like,
Yeah.
which one we go? Which would you rather tell a story in space with Space Ghost, or the Herculoids in prehistoric Earth?
You asking me that?
I'm asking both of y'all that because I was thinking about it, like we're talking about, you were talking about more of Hanna-Barbera based cartoons, and I'm like, well, if you had to tell like a reboot of those stories, because I know they try to do it with Lost in Space, what would you do? Would you want to do prehistoric or in the future in space?
I think I'd rather do Space Ghost, even though I like more prehistoric stuff. Those characters were just so like retarded looking, like designs. Like he was like a rhino triceratops that's just like shooting rocks, and they had like some like Sasquatch golem type character. It was just it was too much weird stuff. I think give me Space Ghost because then I can get the Wonder Twins, which I actually like the Wonder Twins, but I think in a reboot, I know. I think in a reboot of Wonder Twins, and if they tweaked it to where maybe the sister turns into like organic stuff and then the brother turns into inorganic, then it'd be crazy, but it could work. Like he's a little like a living transformer and she's like Beast Boy Ben 10 type thing. And then at some point, like, they look like a fucking Digimon. Like she turned into some T-Rex type thing and he's like living like weapons like turrets on apart. I'm like, that could have fucking worked. So
I guess
with the Super Twins announcement, I wasn't hyped because I feel like it's going to be trash, but I'm like, okay, let me see what y'all are going to do with that, because there's some that I feel like they can be better heroes than they are.
Yeah. Well, do you know what this reminds me of with asking this question? It reminds me of like that. Didn't they do this Looney Tunes superhero reboot? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Like, it was like remembers that.
Yeah, they were like, they're Looney Tunes, but they have powers this time.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to on that real quick.
I wouldn't want to see Lunatics. Right, I wouldn't want to see Lunatics. Now, I guess you could get away with it being a separate universe where they're superheroes. Okay, cool, but because of all the crossovers, I think you could easily do. Because they made references to like Batman and Superman in Looney Tunes or with Looney Tunes products. I would rather see a world where Bugs and Daffy like know of Superman and Batman, and they just decided to be them, like for a day, and then we get to see like a Batman and Superman story, but it's Bugs and Daffy doing actual super shit somehow.
I guess.
And maybe
I think it was just to sell merch.
No, not at all. Not at all. But yeah, I do want to see like that Batman Incorporated where Blue Falcon is a part of the team. I would like to see Batman and Blue Falcon and Dynamite and Ace doing hero stuff together. All of that. The X-Men Evolution conversation made me think of when you were saying, Don, the like the art style between Bruce Timm and what we got from Young Justice. I think Phil Borsa, I think that's his name.
Okay.
But something like that, I think X-Men Evolution, if you could like blend those three, because they're simple enough to where you don't have to dedicate a lot of like crazy animation. I mean, not manga, but the East, I guess they do it. So we should be able to do it as well. But I think that is a style that you can easily like replicate and give people like a lengthy series of. And I would love to see this animated universe on HBO Max where all of this shit is happening. At different times, you probably don't have to know that they're connected, but little hints here and there that it could be connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that. I checked that out.
Yeah, I think we talked about a lot on your last stream about nothing is really out there for like young males, just about like almost young adults, like kind of getting into that age group, especially the animation. And we want it. Give it to us. We won't ask again nicely.
We're gonna make it happen. Stop being so low T, Don, and begging all the time.
I'm not begging. I'm making my demands. I'm calling my local congressman and I'm threatening him.
I feel like anime is more expensive. Yeah, probably.
Fair.
So yeah, give the Americans their little justifications. It's easier art, so you can do the fucking work. Marvel already don't give a shit about they VFX artists, so let's abuse some animators, some 2D animators while we at it. At least get something good out of it.
Well, you'd think with like technology the way it is right now, it'd be easier to make cartoons and stuff like that, but they're not. They're making it even cheaper looking and worse, right?
Yeah, man, I think that's fucking excuses because if you watch that Pinocchio, like the making of that movie, it took a lot of time and effort and props, like them buying actual shit to like make this movie. So I think that's when you got more of a creative on your hands as opposed to, I guess, people that's
mass producer.
Mass producer. Because I'm like, why is VFX so expensive? Like I'm sure you're paying for like salaries, but you own the software. You're just somebody's putting the fucking images in there. You're just making a move.
Bro,
I don't know the specifics.
I will tell you this. A lot of corporations usually rely on one person to do almost everything. And they're doing the work of at least 2 or 3 people. When that guy leaves, you wind up seeing a decrease in quality like that, even if you own the software. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think they just make one guy their guy do everything. And when they leave, they're just like, well, you go in there. And he's just playing around with stuff. You can definitely tell that there's a difference from, one VFX artist to the next. That's what I think.
He looking at the next dude like, oh shit, look what I just did.
Yeah,
it's like, you can.
This motherfucker, that's a stick figure giving me the finger. What?
Yeah.
It's not what I asked you for.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. Good conversation. I thought it was gonna be. I don't know. Chat, but
what would you think? You either want to be more conflict, us fighting about something, or what?
Yeah, so when I asked Ego, we was like having a back and forth, and I thought we was gonna have like a stance, like actually choosing one of the binary fucking questions. But
Reboot.
It was just like,
I told you, reboot.
Yeah, and then in our conversation, you started talking about like, well, this is the continuation and just all of this other word.
And that was the conversation we had.
Well, actually, he pushes up his glasses. Shut the fuck up.
My wife does it to me too. She's like, I was like, well, actually, in the book, she's like, if you say one more word, I'm gonna kick you in the throat. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Don't learn. Fine. All I'm saying is reboots are better and more preferred to me than the spinoff.
Okay.
Stop spinning it off, trying to have one person that can't hold their own character try to hold a whole show or a whole movie. That's what I said. I told you Cobra Kai is not a spinoff. It is a continuation. It is not a reboot. I told you that. That's don't you breathe heavy like that on me. So you ain't got no allergies here. Don't do that.
I'd be mustering up the strength to continue on. Hey, man, you're the word guy. You like words.
See, you know what?
The word guy?
You're the word guy. I talk to dogs all day, man. I barely have to speak. So I appreciate that from time to time from them. But they don't understand a love of animation or like superheroes or whatnot. They just dogs doing simple dog shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, good conversation. It was fun. Y'all help me come up with another topic for next week. Don, something you'd be you want to fight for.
Okay. I'll think about it because I'll come in hot. I love taking a stance. Like basically that Norbit and Jack and Jill are perfect movies.
Oh
really
man.
Be in the film archive for their contribution to Hollywood.
For being bold, I give them that.
Yeah, they're bold.
All right. Anybody got? I see everybody who streams. They let people plug and do all this type of stuff at the end. So, do you guys have anything going on that you want the people to know about?
Don, go ahead and go first. Good sir.
Oh, real quick, I'm gonna be live streaming probably tonight. Me and Zach do our circle of jerks, so we keep going around from my stream to his stream, my stream to his stream. So tonight it's on my channel. We recently just got demonetized. I think a lot of people know that, which fucking sucks. Not because like I need the money or anything, but because YouTube will de-rank your stuff when they know they can't put ads in front of it, right? So like I'm going to be in this kind of tailspin when it comes to content, but we have some new plans coming up here. We talked about it, me and AJ talking behind the scenes about some ideas. I'm going to say right now, there's some fucking awesome ideas we have going on right now. It's something that could be
all right.
changing the landscape of like, I don't know what you call this. They always call it the fellowship, but it's like, it's more than that, right? Because I don't know if we all kind of fall underneath that umbrella or we always fall in lockstep with one another, right? What do you want to call this lower community of connections we have here? But it sounds awesome, and we might be making a new channel for it, but what we have coming up is gonna blow your balls off.
Like it. Okay, all right. Okay.
That's not exactly a good thing though, because we need balls of steel to make this happen.
We're removing your weak, fleshy balls, and we're gonna put in some balls of steel. Thank you for having me on.
Appreciate you being here, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having us with you, man. I was gonna say I think I'm gonna be streaming tomorrow with Roman of the Empire, actually talking about all the stuff that I've actually got back here. We're just gonna be having a toy conversation. I know that AJ put me onto him about the toys, and I'm like, there's a fellow toy master. I gotta bring him on and just talk about our collections and what started our passion for toys and things like that. So that's what I got going on tomorrow, and hopefully Shira will be well enough to actually come back on, and we can actually do some TikTok reactions. I know how you feel about reactions abomination, but we're going to do it from the actual perspective of being married, because some of the shit that I've heard on TikToks that are relationship advice, I'm like, if I tried that shit, my wife would just chop me in the throat and then blow my balls off. So yeah.
and they TikTok reactions, man.
I know that, but that's why it's just like, don't do this shit. Don't follow this advice. This is dumb.
Do it, bro. Be like Ben Shapiro when he reacts to the TikToks. Like,
I don't really know why you're gonna do this, because you think we're stupid. I don't really know why you want to do this. Who follows this advice? Anyway, you need to get to going in Birch Gold. Yeah, I would
say binary.
Binary.
Use binary in the Ben Shapiro said.
So I don't know why these people think that they can just exclude completely the binary, because we know that gender theory 1943 says that you have to do this. Okay, everyone knows this. Okay, let's move on.
All right. Ego responded to the TikTok, react to the TikToks. All right, y'all. I don't have shit coming up. I'm working on the Puss in Boots video right now. As I'm working on videos, though, as I lose steam, I'm just like, should I even put this shit out there? Like, I stopped to care at a certain point, but I got to put more positive content out, and I want to keep having fun. Okay, that's what the channel is about. We keep having fun, good conversations, not always shitting on people. That shit's getting real boring, especially with something like Velma, where I think they've made this so terrible that to get the reaction out of you. So I think a lot of the shit is being made just for that reason. So yeah, we're trying to, I guess, not complain about the culture, but create new culture. Like Don was saying, we got ideas. We're trying to work on some stuff so that you guys can get more value out of listening to us, following us, subscribing, all of that good stuff. So that will be happening. That's all I got. Y'all good? We out?
We're good.
Yes, sir.
All right, let me pull some up. All right, we out of here.
No sudden moves.
Like, is this too fast? Yeah, oh man, see?
That's a little quick.
You see what he did?
Yeah, you got to be a little more deliberate in your movement.
I'm just going to get in there. I'm just going to grab the handle. I'm just going to get in there and drive that car. But I'm going to do it calm.
Calm. Piece of cake.
I was just trying to stay calm. Oh! Oh, man!
Sometime today, son.
Okay, here we go. I'm getting in.
Ricky, control your heart rate.
Oh, my God!
I'm gonna knock these stickers off.
stays around saves our vote. You know?